Hello, hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good day, etc. To wherever you are in the world. Welcome to SudokuCon Twitch stream again. I am Tallcat, as many of you probably may know, and with me on this side is Lucian from Lucian's Place, I believe is the name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, name. I need some work on that. I've been trying to figure out like a good logo, anything like that. Lucian's puzzles, Lucian solves. I'll figure it out eventually. Maybe like 5 years from now. But
Yeah, well, when you're ready for a rebrand, right? So,
yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
and
I'll put out
we're
some merch.
I actually, speaking of your merch, I think I actually have. So I met Lucian at SudokuCon last April, and I believe you were handing out like poker chips, and I think I actually still
Yeah,
have the
I
poker
did.
chip.
So in like the 3D printing community, there are these things called like maker chips. And essentially what you often do with maker chips is you have like if you have like a website or something like that, you do some design that's related to you and standardly they're poker chips and people just kind of hand those out, right? So with SudokuCon coming around, I thought that it would be fun to make a SudokuCon themed thing. It was very hard because the details were very small and I didn't have the right nozzle size for it, so I had to do some finicking to make it work. But on the back side, because of shameless self promotion, I put a QR code that led to my YouTube channel. It said "Made by Lucian," but only on the back. The front was SudokuCon. I think I tried to get the date in there. Boston, Massachusetts, April. 2025. So we'll see if I can do something like that for Manchester as well. But no, I just thought it'd be something nice to give out. I did not sell it, but Rock Rat Zero, who is the person who actually is the designer of the logo, right?
Yes.
He was like, yeah, if you want to make something, then please feel free to use the logo. So yeah, it was just
Um,
a little cheap keepsake, as they
yeah,
say.
yeah, very good. But yeah, so today we're here. We're actually going to have something of a Sudoku setting school. Before we get to that, though, just on the SudokuCon theme, as Lucian mentioned, SudokuCon this year is going to be in Manchester, England. It's going to be the end of July, going into beginning of August. We're getting up to a point where we're about 6 months out from this, and so we're going to be opening tickets pretty soon. Um, for those of you that signed up, that were on the 24-hour stream, you could have signed up for a Google form to get advance ticket notice and to give us some input in what you would like to see at the con. That form is still active and open. If someone from the organizing committee could drop the link in the chat, it would make my life easier. But feel free to keep filling that in if you haven't done so, and drop us your email if you want to get advance notice of ticket sales. The current plan is within the next couple of 3 weeks, we will probably send an email out opening tickets up for that advance notice. Then a little time later, we will then drop that link in the SudokuCon Discord. If you're not in the Discord, feel free to sign up. Um, and that will give you a chance to then buy tickets, and then ultimately we will then post it out in a newsletter, send it out for wider release for everyone. So if you have an interest in coming to SudokuCon later this year, please do keep an eye out for those ticket sales. And we will, in the interim period, be having more streams, Anatomy of a Puzzle episodes, maybe some setting competitions, etc. But the subject of today is setting, and this segment, or the idea for this segment, was somewhat inspired by a segment from the 24-hour stream with Juggler and Sven, where Sven, who created Sudoku Pad, had made an offhanded comment about, oh, if somebody teaches me how to set puzzles, we'd all be in trouble. And Juggler took the challenge. Um, and after that, I think it was a very well liked segment, a very popular stream, and we thought it would be good to maybe resurrect it as a couple of standalone streams and look for willing victims who wanted to come on and have a go at setting. And Lucian expressed an interest. So before we kind of get into it, I guess give us an idea of what setting experience you have, because I believe Sven was completely
Yeah, yeah.
new.
So I'm a bit of a cheater. I have set a bit more than Sven had. Sven, the first time he had ever set a puzzle, and I think also the last time he had set a puzzle was Sudoku Con. Um, I have set a few different puzzles, um, a number of 9x9s, but I guess I was never really satisfied with the way that they played out. Some of them were a little bit more cute, a little bit more memey, one might say. I was showing Tallcat one of the puzzles that I'd set when I was flying back, like a as an advanced post for when I was flying back from a trip to Paris, and it was a little like me underneath the Eiffel Tower with like blue skies. It was very silly, but it was an interesting puzzle. But it had like 10 different variants in it. I just couldn't make it work, and it was a total mess. And then I have a number of puzzles where I couldn't get them to resolve, so I just added a random little killer clue to resolve it. And I don't know. I think I tried to be too ambitious with some of my setting, and because of that, it made me not really know the right way forward. And I
Hmm.
sometimes use the tools like what I have in front of me is Sir Zemic's Sudoku Maker, which is an amazing tool, but sometimes I used it maybe as too much of a crutch. So my goal here is to start small, right? Let's focus on
Yeah.
some 6x6s, get some ideas with like one or two variants. Don't overdo it,
Hmm.
and from there, see what we can get at maybe push it to a 9x9.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna move us over to a scene where both of us greens are available. I think we both have six by
Okay.
sixes. I know you said Sudoku Maker. I have currently on F puzzles, but I can actually flip back and forth between F puzzles and Sudoku Maker. So let me just
Yeah, and
double
F
check
puzzles is
that.
a really amazing tool that was developed years ago by Eric, right?
Yeah,
Eric
Eric Fox
Fox.
in
Yeah.
yeah, a few years ago, and I should say I also have the plugin that was developed by Rangst. Um, There is, I believe, there is a segment on the SudokuCon YouTube channel from SudokuCon last year where he explains how to install his plugin. I think that's actually probably one of the most watched segments on our channel because so many people want to know how to put the plugins to work. But it is very powerful. But
It's
it is
really
also
amazing all the tools that he
yeah.
developed. You know,
But it's
it's
very
crazy what this community has come together and built.
true, but it's very easy to use, certainly for rank solver, certainly if you're new, it's very easy to use true candidates as a sort of crutch. So I guess from the setting point of view, I always think about what I enjoy solving, and I try to craft a puzzle that I think I would want to solve. So I know from your YouTube channel that typically you tend to solve the daily gas.
Yeah.
Would you say you're more of a sort of 1 to 2 star or 1 to 3 star level solver?
Yeah, I would say I'd say 1 to 2 normally. There are I think I've tried a couple of 3 stars on the channel,
Hmm.
some like chaos construction stuff, and those videos are like an hour and a half long, but doesn't mean they weren't enjoyable. Um, I've I definitely aim more for 1 to 2 stars. The puzzle that I have set, I think, have been around that level as well.
Hmm.
Um, one of my cop outs from because you were saying what do you like solving? One of my cop outs from Sudoku Con, the streamers that were on the panel were asked what our favorite variants were,
Hmm.
and I answered with negative constraint, which was not very well received because it's not really a variant, but
The more the
those are the
absence of a
kinds of puzzles
variant.
that I enjoy, So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a cop out, but you know, it's
Okay.
not as nice as I like German whispers or
Yeah.
Dutch whispers are very interesting. No, just any negative constraint,
Anything
just
that's not
just throw
there.
something at me.
So is
So
that just like
maybe that's
saying,
why I like global variants so much, but those
okay,
are also maybe sometimes, to a certain extent, if you overdo it, they don't uh, they don't
yeah,
mesh well.
no, no, and I think So yeah, I guess one thing with a negative constraint, we could say, well, we have a blank 6 by 6 grid here that's got a negative constraint, so it's solved. So there we go, setting done. On to the next thing.
There. All right, stream over. Goodbye,
Yeah,
everyone. Thanks for
well,
joining.
but yeah, I certainly we talked a bit last night when we were doing the setup, and I feel like a lot of the traps that you had fallen into and have kind of mentioned here when you were setting early were sort of similar things that I did when I first started. Like my very first puzzles, I kind of had the beginnings of an idea, and I got to a point where I was like, I'm just done with this puzzle. Can I just? And I was just throwing in clues. This was before I had true candidates. I was throwing in clues and just checking to see if it solved. And then I was like, okay, good, I'm done. Um, and then I finally actually got to a point where I was like, okay, maybe that isn't the best way of doing things. Um, but I guess so. You mentioned global. You like global things. I everyone on the channel knows that I have an avowed hatred of kind of anti-night,
Well,
and partly
especially in
that,
6 by 6.
yeah,
Especially in 6 by 6.
yeah,
There's a
it
there's a
just
little
isn't going to
trick
work.
for those watching with 6 by 6 anti-night, where if you draw a checkerboard pattern,
Mm,
whatever three digits appear, hello, whatever three digits appear in these cells, let's just say these happen to be one, oh, can I, one, oh,
there we
let's
go.
switch modes, sorry. Uh, delete. Clearly I need help with the tools as well here. Oh, because
Yeah,
I put these as givens, didn't I? One second.
yes, you put them all
That's
as
the
givens.
that see guys, this is where we're falling apart already. Um, we'll go 1, 2, 3. There we go. This actually is what will happen, right? When you have
Mm,
three digits, like if I had 1, 2, and 3 here, I would know that every other part of this checkerboard is 1, 2, and 3. And it's
yeah,
actually very interesting to go through and solve it, but it really trivializes a lot of global constraints in a 6 by 6 pattern.
yeah.
Um,
So I actually think it's kind of a 6 by 6s are good for you getting a feel for your for the local deduction and the variant deduction. Certainly, when I started off, most everything was very much local deduction, and even so, I think I've done very few that kind of have any sort of global break-in or global deduction. I'm very impressed for people who do it. It's just not my cup of tea. So, in terms of solving, like beyond the global constraint, do you like variant Sudoku? You solve the guesses, so I mean that's a
oh
lot of
yeah,
variant Sudoku. Um,
I've struggled a lot with trying to set even 6 by 6 like classics. Classic is definitely a very tough one. Variants make it a lot easier.
yeah, I mean, as we talked about last time, I think I've set 6 classics in my career, and even then, that was a lot, and it was a struggle for me to set those, a real struggle. And I admire, people like Clover and Philip, and I think Jovial and Shy and Sam who can put classics together because it was like pulling teeth for me. So certainly, I would definitely not advise trying to set a classic Sudoku if you were going to be setting your first. Do you like? We talked about this a bit. Do you like geometric deductions or geometric interplay? Do you like mathy deductions?
I think I kind of like some more mathy stuff. Like there are some really interesting puzzles where you essentially can just color code the whole thing and then you
Okay.
place digits at the end, which are interesting. Like I kind of like how those play out. There was one that I really enjoyed from Philip that was part of his 1 to 9 puzzle pack. That, if I recall correctly, was a bunch of palindromes, and you could
Hmm.
essentially color the entire grid. Whatever rainbow colors you wanted, and then you were able to just kind of put through all the digits into it. Um,
Okay.
and that's cool, but I don't know. I tried to set one of those, and I don't know if I really liked the way that turned out. Right? I tried to go for a cool geometric whatever sort of deal, and I wasn't so satisfied with the way that it played out.
Okay. And then the one other puzzle you had mentioned to me that you had set, I actually went and solved this morning, was
Oh, the
the
pencil marking nightmare,
no,
or
it was
no?
the 6 by 6 in the Katadoku pillar.
Oh yeah, the Katadoku pillar. That was a 6 by 6 that I actually was kind of proud of, and I
Yeah.
set that live and in stereo. So
Okay, so a lot like today. And that had a constraint that I hadn't been familiar with before. I think it was called Russian Russian
Russian
doll
doll sums.
some.
I kind of stole that from Gene. He had these Sudoku setting kind of competitions in
Hmm.
Skunkworks, and I was the judge for a few of those. Though I started to realize that maybe some of the puzzles were a little bit outside of my solving uh, prowess. I don't know, but
Yes.
you know, so I just kind of was like, maybe I should leave this to the professionals here. But it was a great opportunity. And I was glad I was able to participate when I could. But there are some really amazing constraints that come out of the
Mm.
Skunkworks Discord. I'm sure other Discords as well, but they do a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
theory work in there.
But that was, yeah. I mean, it was actually a nice puzzle. The one you did for the 6x6. It was quite
Well,
neat. There was some good interplay.
I'm glad
So
you enjoyed it. I
yeah.
enjoyed setting it. So
Um, so okay. So what would you think as a constraint for that you would want a constraint or two? And we're not limited to constraints within the grid. We can do outer constraints.
yeah.
Um,
Well, we were talking about kind of mathy stuff. I guess we could start with, if you consider it sort of mathy, crop key, right? Kind of in a way, we could see how that plays, and that's kind of two constraints in one, right? If we just do a crop key pair thing.
so you want black and red.
Yeah,
Sorry, black and white crop key.
yeah. Let's throw it in there. Let's see. Maybe it's a little too much, especially because we are more restricted with black dots in a 6x6 than we are in a 9x9. In a 9x9, 5, 7, and 9 won't go on black dots because if you divide them by 2, right, not normal Sudoku digits. But here, it's only
Right.
5 that gets restricted off of the black dot. So I don't know if that really trivializes it much, but
It
yeah.
doesn't. I mean, there's still plenty of flexibility. I mean, you have 3, 6, and 1, 2, 4.
Yeah, as long
So
as I don't just instantly do something like this, maybe. Uh,
yeah, well, yes, we definitely should not do that. I don't think. But okay. And I mean, I guess so. Are you wanting to try and have a coloring type puzzle here, or
you're asking a lot of difficult questions here,
I
Tallcat.
know. Well, we could
We could try
let's
that. We could try that where when we're looking at pairs, like it could be 3, 6, or it could be a 1, 2 maybe, and then we have to kind of work through it from there. Is that kind of what you're thinking with this constraint?
um.
Because
So
when I think of that, a lot of times I think of like with XV Sudoku on a 9x9, you can kind of say, okay, this is either 1, 4 or 2, 3, and you don't necessarily know which is which, but then you go through and you're able to kind of figure it out from there. I don't know how that plays out. Like this is where you need to direct me, right? I don't know
yeah,
how that
yeah,
would
yeah, yeah.
necessarily play out with crop key. How would I design or how would I start start thinking about designing a color based crop key?
Right. Yeah, I don't think I think that would be maybe a little more advanced from the start. I also don't think we should just use crop key.
Okay, so
Like
let's
so we could stick
throw it
with
away. Throw it away. What variant do you think is a good place to start then?
no, I think we could start with black crop key for sure. I would say maybe keeping just black rather than white.
Okay.
Or I mean I saw in the chat that Dream Librarian suggested that
Oh,
if you
Dream
like mathy stuff, how about X sums?
Exums.
So
Oh, okay, yeah.
so I'm wondering if we might be able to couple X sums maybe with black and white crop key in some way.
All right. Sorry, I can't see the chat. So hello, Dream
Yes.
Librarian. I hope you're doing well. Her and
Yes,
I
I
we
should have
had a
qualified
great
that.
opportunity to share a segment on the SudokuCon 24-hour live stream with Thomas Snyder, Dr. Sudoku, where he helped us speed date some pencil puzzles. It was a great time, and if you haven't seen that segment, you should go and watch it. Not now, stay here, but
Yeah.
later go and check it out on the SudokuCon YouTube channel. It was a
And
ton of fun.
actually, yeah, and actually, we're talking to Thomas at the minute to see if he would be interested in maybe resurrecting that just as a standalone segment,
Oh,
maybe for a little more leisurely time, because I know we ended up being a little crunched for time
yeah, we were a little
when we
rushed,
did
and
it.
and that's okay. I think that would be an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Thomas put together a great slideshow with a ton of different variants, and it would be great to see more people getting an opportunity to do some pencil puzzle speed dating.
Hmm. Okay, so some combination of exams and crop key. I mean, we can start with one or the other and see what goes from
I like
there.
6 as an outside clue, you know?
No, no, you mean six? Oh, yeah, six is very 2-4 and 3-2-1, right? Those are kind of the
Yeah, I
thing.
don't know. I think it's, it could be like seven. So like seven just is trivial, right? You can't you it would have to be two
2-5.
five because either
Yeah.
1 2 4 it doesn't have three, but six kind of gives you two options. I don't know if necessarily that's the best place to start, but for some reason I was just like six. I like six. So
Yeah. So six, you get 2-3. 2-4, 1-2-3. Yeah. It's not a bad start. I would maybe suggest putting it downwards rather than
here instead of right in the
um,
corner.
no, in a column going down rather than
Oh,
vertical.
in a column. Okay.
Yeah, just
I guess
because.
that way you don't have it across. See, this is the thing. I want to instantly put an X sum here, and you're like, no, actually, because then you split it across boxes, which I think is
Yeah,
interesting.
right. And that's the sort of thing I think you can play with. So I haven't even got it selected. So six. I should actually do the true candidates,
The true
even though.
candidates. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I will have the true candidates up just so people can see it as on my screen
yeah.
as an exercise. So I know one of the things you had said when it came to setting was you kind of struggled about where to put things and what to do, and um, I think part of that is I I tend to be as I'm putting things in, I will have a grid that I start pencil marking and with what I know because
Hmm.
that sort of directs the intentionality of where I think the solve is
So I'm
going to
not trying to
go.
keep everything in my head essentially. So I know that this is
Yeah,
either going to be 2 3, and then I could fully pencil mark this. Like if it's 2, then yeah, it has to be 4, and if it's 3, then it would be like a 1 2. I don't know if really center pencil marks are the necessarily the best way to do it, but give me
no.
some idea.
But I think the important information is that you know at least in one of those three cells is going to be a two.
Two, yeah.
So, um, so I mean that could give a very depending that could give a very easy thing of if you put like a black crop key at the bottom, like you have done.
Like
See, you're
like
already
this.
thinking,
Yeah,
yeah,
so the second you said that, this is what I was thinking, because then it would be 3 6, and you would know it would have to be 2 4.
right.
But see, for me, as like, is that something that, does it feel forced, or does it, and here's the other thing actually, let me, instead of putting it there, let me split it across the boxes just to give us
Mm.
some more ambiguity there as well. But like,
Yeah, I
is this the
mean,
type of thing that you would see and be happy with?
I think as a starting point, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, we're wanting to come up with something reasonably straightforward. I think just at least for this first puzzle. Um,
So something like that, essentially, we'd be able to pretty quickly isolate it to this sort of set.
right. Let's see. Where did you put it? Yeah. So we have it like that very quickly. Yeah. I mean, I think that's fine as a start. Um, and you also have to remember, I think that you can have those puzzles that are kind of all about the break-in, and it's really trying to
Hmm.
wrestle with the break-in, and then you think, well, okay, once the break-in happens, you kind of want it to collapse relatively smoothly. But you also
Hmm.
can have puzzles where it's a modest break-in, and then you get a little bit trickier steps, and you mess around with it later. So I think we could use the. There are a couple of things we could do here. I could see because we now have a 3-6 across boxes. Placing another
Yeah.
black dot might mess with that. We could potentially put that with an X sums
like
maybe
like
across
like
row
as if if
four.
I if I put like a black dot, let's say like here, I would know that this would have to come from the set 1 2 4, and there would have to be a 2 between those two cells. Is that the type of thing you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's quite a common, a good and reasonable deduction for like if you have crop key. Black crop key is once you've ruled out, once you have a pair and something, you can rule out from the other.
Yeah, because obviously if this was a 3 6 pair, there would be no options here. So this would have to come from the set 1 2 4 with
Yeah,
definitely a 2. I don't know, maybe that's again questionable the way that I'm pencil marking, but something. I don't know if that's necessarily the best place to put that crop key dot. Maybe I want to span it across the boxes as well, so I don't end up with a pair. But maybe it would be good to have a pair to finally work with.
Yeah, I also don't think that's bad just because I see like geometric implications, for example. So the 1 5 in box 4,
Or
so the
just
one
in box
five,
four.
yeah, if that turned out to be a 5, then we would know where it would go in in box 3, not box 4. If that turned out to be
Yeah.
a 5, we know where it would go. So then that could be something that could come into play later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I
So
guess a trivial way would be to just place a black dot between these two cells and say, oh well, then we know what it is. But then I don't know. I don't really like that because again, this would then have to be. No, I guess it could be if this was 2 4, this could be 1 2. I guess it wouldn't have to be a mirrored 3 6 that breaks. But then if I place a black dot here, then actually it. No, it's fine. This wouldn't be a uniqueness problem either, where it'd be like, you could say it isn't 3 6 by uniqueness because it's not within the same box. If the 3
right.
6 was here, then maybe that would be a problem. But I don't know. Is that because see now I'm getting in my own head a little bit, where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, now that you've pointed out this 5, I'm like, well, maybe we can just say we know that this has to be a 5 here, and that instantly gets it for us. But then we've just essentially again trivialized this column. So is that the path forward? I don't know how satisfied I am with that crop key, but
Yeah, it's not something I would do. I think because we have the two rules, I think now you have a crop key in a
X
row. I
sum.
think doing an X
Yeah.
sum somewhere across row 4 in some way might be interesting.
Now question is because I don't want to necessarily very quickly restrict my 6
Hmm.
because if I don't know, if I made this, what could I do with 6? 9 couldn't be with 6 because then it'd have to be like 2 6 1. 10 could be 3 6 1. I guess that could work, but then that's very restricted. Like you wouldn't need to know the information about the 2 here to be able to do that because 10 will either have to be 4 3 2 1 or 4 6, right? Those are the
Yeah,
only, or no, sorry, not 4 6. Sorry, 3 6 1. Whatever I had just said before. Because there's no 2 8. You can't do 2 8. So it'd have to be,
right.
well, 3 6 1 or 3
2 5.
3 2 5. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I think it could go potentially either way. Like we could potentially have one to the left, you could potentially have one to the right.
I was thinking
Now,
about how it would play here with the black crop key. Now that we know there's a 2 here, it would instantly remove 2 as an option
right.
from the X sum. But then what would be a nice clue to put there? Because what are we restricted to? We still can have, well, but that's the other thing. If we place like a 4 here, it would be 1 2 4, and again, that's very restrictive. So like a 10,
A 10 would probably have to be 4 1 2 3, right?
yeah. Yeah, that would be the only way to do it because the 1, 2 are already so small, and even 2, 4 only gets you to 6, so you would need at least 4 more. So
Yeah.
like thinking back, does it make sense then? Like to have a 10 glue. I don't know why I'm just stuck on 10, but
Hmm. So, having a clue
yeah.
that anything less than 15 would
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
anything less than 15 would resolve the 1 5 pair, but that would be a
Yeah.
slightly next level kind of deduction, I think. It's a matter of do we want more flexibility at this point? Um, we can also, we don't necessarily have to resolve something at this point. If we
Yeah,
limit
yeah.
it,
We could
that
just
can restrict
we could
something.
just let it sit and always kind of be there in the background.
Right.
Um
So yeah, either side, we've removed the 2, and if we put anything obviously more than 1, then we're going to limit it to 3, 4, 5, 6.
yeah.
So obviously we won't do 21. I think that might be a bit too much.
Yeah, 20,
Um,
21 is just all the digits, and like you said, 15 because that's 1 through 5, right? We
yeah.
don't want to.
So if we put a 3 on the left, then you'd have 3, 6. That would be 9 with potentially a 4 for 13.
Hmm.
Um, Now, is 13
Could
flexible
you do it with
enough? And
4 though? Because 4, so 13, because we were saying with 3, right?
mhm.
3, 6, 9, 4. If you did it with 4, let's say 4, 3, 7, you could still do 1, 2, 4 and have 4, 2 for 6, right? I can do math. So it's always a
If
struggle, right?
it could be 4 because it could be 4, 3, 1, 5. You could have 4, then 3, then 5, then 1.
Hmm. Or it could be, I think what I was saying was the 2, 4 as well with 1, like as an option. So
Yeah,
it could either be 1 here with 1, 2, 4, or 2, 4 with 1, just because this wouldn't be able to be the 2, 4.
yeah.
So 13 would restrict us 2, 3, and 4. But how
Hmm.
does that play? I guess because 4, 3. Could it ever be 4, 6, 1, 2? I guess it could also be 4, 6, 1, 2 with.
That is true. Yeah, so,
No, no, wait, no. No, because 1, 2 would force 4, so it couldn't be
yeah, 4,
4,
6, 1.
6, 1, 2, because 4, 6, 1, 2 would require a 4 here. Okay, so now I'm kind of like, if it's 3, it has to be 6, and if it's 4, it has to be 3. So I think that means there's always a 3 between these two cells. Did I do that correctly? Is that
No, I think you did. I guess it's more of do we like that as a kind of deduction, or do we think it's a little sort of case checky? That's the only thing I would say.
okay?
Now, can we do the same the other side? What did we decide? Um, with 13, the other side, is it something similar? Here, this is where, just for ease, let me
Yeah,
throw it
yeah.
in. That actually forces, that actually
Yeah, the
forces.
3 between those two cells. Sorry, I'm like looking at your true candidate right now. The 3
Yeah,
between
you're
those
correct.
two cells. Oh, and it actually forces a 1, 2. I guess I didn't, my brain didn't say why that made sense, but
I guess because if you have a 3, you need the 4.
okay, yeah, because
Because
it
if
has to be
it's
3, 4. Yeah, yeah, or otherwise it's the 4,
4.
3. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I think because it does force the 1, 2, that isn't necessarily a bad thing.
But like,
But
is it the
again, is it
right
two case?
approach, right? Because like
Right.
I saw the like the 3, 4 and how that relates to threes here, but
Hmm.
seeing how it forces the 1, 2, I feel like is a different.
Yeah.
That might, like what you were saying, case checky. That definitely feels a lot more case checky to me.
Hmm. Yeah. So, okay, so we could always nix the idea of that clue and try and put something somewhere else instead.
Where so when you're sitting with something like this, like where
Yeah.
does your brain take you? Like when you're looking at this puzzle, because you saw the one. So like for example, you just saw the 1, 5, and you said that would be maybe interesting to play with.
Right.
That's not the way that my brain kind of processes that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good question. I don't know if there's an easy answer to it. Um,
Experience.
yeah, I think experience. I mean, I think looking at this the way I kind of have it, and it's, I mean, different with having true candidates up. I think like trying to build off the clue. So in the same way we had the 6, we had the 3, 6. I think that's very nice. Placing the other crop key, I think, is good. It forces a 2. So my instinct, at least for this kind of puzzle, in trying to set a path, and I think for an easier puzzle, you want there to be a reasonable path. So you want people to be following on from what they know, using using this clue in some way, either the
The
fact we
fact
have the
that there's
2
a
here,
2.
yeah,
Yeah, and 2 would restrict how the X sums could be built, but
yes. So for example, I mean, instead of maybe doing it over the dot, if we did it here,
here instead.
yeah, so if we did a 10, for example, I mean, is that pretty much, then it would be pretty much
Well,
forced.
2
That would
could
be
be over
316.
here. Oh no, but it couldn't be because you'd need, yeah, so it'd have to be, it couldn't be 4, 3. 1, 2, because even with the 2 here, if you have to use 1, 2, 3, 4, that would severely restrict you there. So it could be
It would
4,
be four.
6, right?
No, it's an
Could it
exsum.
ever be
No, it
3?
couldn't be 4 6 because it's an exsum, remember. The
Oh,
four
so
means you're
of course,
taking
sorry.
four.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting that this is exsum. Don't mind me.
Yeah,
Um,
it's okay. So, yeah, I
so
think if we did 10, it would actually be force, which might not be what we want to do. I think it would be three because it
3. It has to be 3 because it
three
can't be
one
4
six.
because sorry, what it's funny because I said 4, 6, and then what I was saying before was that it couldn't be 4, 3, 2, 1 because even with 2 here, this is 1, 3, and there's no options here because
Yeah,
you need 1 here and here at
yeah.
the same time. So
So maybe we don't want to force it just yet. So
yeah,
usually in a situation like that, if I forced it, I would try and make it more flexible. So
so make it like 12.
yeah, 11 is broken or 12. I mean, it still gives us some, it actually is forced for 12. It's actually forced for 13. So yeah, it actually
Well,
gets forced quite easily.
hmm.
Um, so maybe
But
we
how
don't want to
easy are
do.
some of those deductions? Like for like 13, for example, is it easy to just say, okay, well, here are the options, or is it again a lot of case checking? And for exsums, for something like exsums, is that okay? Maybe at the
Yeah, I
same
think
time.
exams by its nature is kind of somewhat case checky per se. Um, the only thing is if we go too high, is then it actually negates us using the two at all per se.
Yeah, I guess because
Uh,
then it doesn't matter because obviously you can't build it with the 2 anyways.
yeah. So, which is unfortunate, and I think going lower actually doesn't work in this case
If you
because
did like 9 or something, no, because you'd have to do like
nine would be
either
315,
315 or
but that would break
no, you
here.
couldn't do 315. Okay,
Yeah.
wait. 9, you couldn't do 315, but you could. Hmm.
Unfortunately, with nine, I think that's where you're because it's either two, you can't do two,
2.
and it would
So it
have to
has
be
to be
three,
3.
which it can't
Yeah, it
be.
has to
So
be 3. But you would also know, wait, but then what could it be? If it's 3, wouldn't that break? Because then it can't be 324 and it can't be 315. So I think 9 is actually broken.
yes, it is. So
You can double check with true candidates, but I think it's just broken
no,
here.
no, it
So
is broken. Yeah, it is.
yeah, so we can't realistically.
So okay.
What,
Well, in that case, how we?
so what's the problem with 12? I liked 12. I don't know why I liked 12, but
I
I
know
said
12. I
12.
think is fine. The thing with 12 is it's either three or four, so it's not something that's dependent on the two. But that's okay. It doesn't have to be. It can just point us
But
in the right direction.
yeah, because like something like 3, you need to make 9 in 2 digits. Of course, you can't use 2 anyways because you can't do 2 sevens. So
Right.
I guess what are the options then?
It's
Because
basically
already
it's three
using
or four.
3, you would have to be 4, 5, right, to make 9
Three, four, five would be 12, and if it was four, it would have to be 4125, but it can't because of
because
the
of
crop
that.
key
So
dot,
you would just instantly know it has to be 3, 4, 5, which would resolve the 1, 5, and
which actually isn't bad because it's still using the crop key dot. It still is dependent on the crop key dot being 124.
okay,
So it's not bad. So yeah, I mean, let's throw that in,
all
and
right.
it
And
actually
that
gives a
does
bit.
give us that it's 3 here. We don't know the order.
No,
Um, between these two, 4, 5. We do know that this would be 6.
yep.
This can no longer be 4, so we can just get rid of the corner marking. 4, 5 gives us 1 and 5. 5.
The
And from
six
there,
resolves.
oh, 6 resolves 3, 6. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then what can
Okay.
we do with that? So the 3, 6, 6 in these two cells.
Yeah, I would be hesitant to put something too kind of parallel just because we might end up with a lot of pairs that have to
Yeah.
resolve.
I was just
Um,
thinking about like, could we do something with the 6 in these two cells? And I don't really know if there's anything that does that because otherwise we don't really have a lot, right? The 3 season 3, but otherwise, right? I kind of want to. I kind of feel like I want to fill in these boxes a little bit, but I don't know the right
Yeah, no,
path forward
that
to,
would be a good, certainly a good step to start thinking about. So,
because the only thing we can really place in these boxes is like a pair here. But again, like you said, it's too parallel almost. It
mhm.
doesn't.
So, I mean, I one thing you may have noticed about a lot of my puzzles is that I get OCD about symmetry. So, because we have an X sum here, we could think about an X sum here, perhaps.
Yeah.
Um, that might
Philip
rule
likes
out the
symmetry in
six.
his puzzles as well.
Yeah. So that's one thing we could do is like, because if we're not going to do an X sum clue that is 21, it would get rid of the six at least. We would
Yeah.
be able to place a six. That's one possibility.
Okay.
Um, do we want to consider, I mean, do we want to consider a dot somewhere?
Maybe. I'm just trying to think because right now maybe maybe we won't get your perfect symmetry, but we can at least
No.
balance the crop keys and the X sums, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, yeah. I honestly, I need to be weaned off symmetry because I'm too obsessive. Um,
I wonder. We have one horizontal, we have one vertical.
yeah.
I'm trying to think like how something else plays out because this
Hmm.
would be interesting, but then you could get actually some roping here, which you don't always get. You always
Hmm.
get it like this in a 6 by 6, but you don't always get it like this if it's 3-6. Otherwise, what could it be? Could it be 2-4? I guess so, but I don't know. Maybe that's still too up in the air. Maybe that's not the right time or place.
Hmm.
Um,
The other thing that's tricky is also we might want to try and put clues in a place that don't necessarily distract. Like if we put something horizontally at the top, for example, because we get this two very early on, that's going to impact there because we get the four very early on. So,
yeah, because this would just instantly give us a 3-6, but
yeah,
and then here actually this would be a uniqueness thing is this couldn't be 1-2. So this is what I was talking about before. This couldn't be
yeah,
a 1-2 because if it was, then we wouldn't have a unique puzzle, and that's not really. I don't want to require uniqueness. Obviously, it could come up later. Like it could, there could be a black dot here, but I don't know. I feel like if you see this, I would, because I've started to like look at it more, and I want
hmm,
to give credit to solver or to setters and assume that they've created a unique puzzle. You
right,
know,
right,
like I would know that this is a 3-6, right? I could just put in a 3-6 and move on, but that doesn't feel
good.
satisfying. So I wouldn't want to put it in there because I know some people they use uniqueness, and that's like, and that's valid, right? That's
Yeah. So James actually makes a good point that so artisanal Sudoku, James
yeah,
Sinclair's
James
about
Sinclair.
he likes to break symmetry early and then chase it the rest of the way.
Okay,
So that's actually something to keep in mind, maybe if we get to a 9 by 9. But I was going to say, like, what about moving your dot once over to the right?
here instead.
Yeah, because while it does kind of take advantage of the four, it still needs us getting the 3-6 from the 12 deduction in order to be able to resolve it.
Okay.
Horizontally, horizontally.
Oh, horizontal. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
Here.
yes.
Okay. So I was
Because,
like here. I was like here. I was like, oh well. Now that we have the 3-6, so I guess yeah. So what you're saying here is a 2 here, and we now know that this is a 1-2, which would give us a 1-2 pair in the column. So maybe that
right.
could play into the X sum because now we
Hmm.
couldn't have 1 and 2 together necessarily.
Not
I
one,
don't know.
not, yeah, I mean, but you see what I mean about how that 1-2, it kind of takes something that we learned earlier and then it doesn't
Yeah.
take something that we then learn from the 3-6.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
no, we could certainly use that in an X sum. I mean, it could be that maybe one and two aren't together, or it could be that, um,
You need the full length. You need the 5 length here for some reason.
the five length or the four
Oh no, but
length
it
or
can't be
something like
5.
that.
Never mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, it never. So it actually could never be together unless it's 21, and 21 is is
Right.
not what I want to put here. So
Hmm.
actually, it would have to, the 1 and 2 could never be together because it would, at least from this side, it would have to be 4, 3. Yeah, 4, 3. It could be 2. Oh no, but it couldn't be 2 because this is a 1, 2. So yeah, it would have to be 3 or 4. So maybe that's interesting. An X sum that is 3, 4, but how would we build that in a
Yeah.
non-trivial way? Because 4 requires 5. So 4 instantly requires 5.
Hmm.
So that, if it's low enough, we could still have something that would make sense here. Like 4, 5, 9. If it was 12, I guess we would know it's not possible because 9 and 3, and you can't have a 1, 2 pair. So it would have
Yeah.
to be 3. But I don't know. Well, I guess you do that earlier, maybe. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. I'm trying to like
Well, we could.
talk it through.
Yeah, one thing we could do is, I mean, we don't necessarily have to decide. We could decide that we want a clue that is not going to be 21. So it
Hmm.
takes a six out, and then we could see what that happens, what that does with the six.
Well, I guess that places 6 up there, right? So we'd get, if we had an XM, let's say here, for example,
Yep.
then then it would force 6 here, which would force 6 here.
Hmm.
But if instead the XM was here, though I kind of see now, then when we place the 1, 2, then I see this 1, 2 pair, and I'm like, I want to use this in some way, right?
Right,
To
right, which is sensible.
So I
And
don't know.
we could always put at the top if you want the additional flexibility of the five in there.
Saying here.
Yeah. I mean, it's still using the 1-2 pair. Um, so what numbers were you thinking about for like an X sum at the bottom, say?
At the bottom, the first one I thought of was just 12 again.
Yeah,
Just because, and
it's
why I thought that
broken.
was interesting is because 4 forces 5, and that means that this would have to be a 1, 2 pair, but it can't be a 1, 2 pair, right? Because of the 1, 2 pair we have here, so it would force a 3. And you wouldn't be able to deduce that, at least as far as I'm aware, until you had this 1, 2 pair.
Right, but unfortunately, it's broken because you
Oh,
can't use the
well,
three. Because it would
whatever,
have to be
guys.
three, four,
I
five.
didn't want 12 anyways. I didn't want 12 anyways. I guess this is where I then have to see 3 with 2 is only 5. So you need 6, and that's not good enough. So, or no, you need
Now,
7. Oh, I can't do math. You need 7. It's not possible. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't do math. Okay, so, Dream Librarian, you shouldn't have gone too mathy on me here. Um, Maybe is 14 a little bit nicer? I'm kind of sticking to even. Maybe even is the theme a bit, just because, 1 to 2 ratio, everything like that. I don't know. 14, could it be 4, 5, 9, 9, 5,
40, I think the higher we go, as I look at it, I'm thinking
3?
it might
Because, yeah,
make
this would
it too
have to
much.
be 2, 3, 4, 5, right? With
Yeah.
1, 6, and that makes sense.
Hmm.
Otherwise, if it was 3, 3 obviously is not possible. So it automatically, the second we get the 1, 2, we kind of force the 14, don't we?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, I mean, what about at the top? Like, if we did 12 at the top, let's see, or 11 at the top, say, I think 11 is just broken because it's not a great song. Yeah, usually at this kind of thing, because I'm also not very experienced in six by sixes as well, I tend to just do a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
playing around until I find something that's satisfying to me. But we
Well,
could
yeah, because
also,
because because the other thing with 9 by 9, they're maybe harder to set because there's more, but you have more digits to work with as well.
yeah,
It,
exactly,
and not, you don't have
exactly.
these crazy forcing chains in the same way necessarily.
Right. So,
Do we have any inspiration from the chat? James or anyone else?
no, no, they're mostly actually talking about GSP solutions and such, which is interesting.
Oh my lord.
Um, and I think like James is saying he prefers to avoid GSP, which breaking symmetry early accomplishes. So I mean, we have
Yeah.
to remember not only do we have a 1-2 in the column, but we now have a 1-2 in the box. So could we maybe do
Yeah.
something with this column instead? Or we could maybe do something with this row. But I mean,
One.
that's actually
Yeah.
quite, yeah,
Three, five, six. Sorry, not three, four, five.
yeah.
Um, one between these two cells. Six. Is there something we could build from the bottom here without using this one, two that this interacts with?
You mean from the bottom column looking upwards?
Yeah.
I mean, I think if we did any exsum that has a higher digit, um,
It's just too forcing because of the one, two. All right. I see. Yeah, I kind of see it. So the
so
one, two is what's really restricting here.
right. Well, the maximum that a two sum can be in a 6 by 6 is 8.
Eight. Yeah.
So anything more than 8 in this column here would remove the
Hmm.
1, 2. The other thing is kind of going back to what you say is like having a 4 that forces a 5.
Yeah.
That might kind of rule something out quickly.
Yeah.
But so if you had a 4 and a 5, then the maximum you could be is 3 plus 2, which is 14. Um,
And I tried a 14 on the bottom, but that instantly just forced everything. So
yeah,
um,
but I think you tried that. Yeah, 14 on the bottom there is broken, unfortunately.
here
Um,
it was broken. 14.
yes. No, to the left.
Okay. Oh, to the left. Okay.
Yeah. And we know that 12 is broken because a 3 would be. Well, no, actually, 12 would not be broken to the left, one to the left. And that might actually be interesting. If you put a 12 one column
So
to the left, because it can't be 3, 4, 5 because of the 4, 5.
yeah. Well, it'd
And
have
it
to be
can.
again because of the one, two. It couldn't ever be three because three, two is five. You need seven. So it would instantly be four, and 14 could never be five because the minimum is 15. So you would know that it's a four, and that would place four, five, four, five, nine, nine, nine. You now need um,
Mhm.
five, and five. It can't be one, four to make five, so it has to be two, three.
Yeah. So James is saying, and it's a reasonable point. Um, at a point like this, he often asks, "What is the puzzle about?" and see if he can find a way to add another clue that reinforces the theme.
Okay.
So,
What we were trying to go, at least what it felt like we were going for, is this exsum feeds this pair, and this pair gives us this pair, which informs this exsum. And now this exsum resolution can inform this pair, right? So that's why I guess I'm trying to kind of stick with the exsum, why I guess we haven't moved back to doing a crop key, because
mhm.
we want we want the interplay between pairs to exsums, kind of this back and forth a bit.
So, I mean, I'm noticing that the clues we have, I mean, black dots are multiples of 3. They're always multiples of 3. You had said a
Yeah.
theme about the things are evens. We could
Yeah, we
have
have
x,
6 and 12.
which are multiples of 3.
Yeah.
So we could try and stick with something that's a multiple of 3.
It would be beautiful if we could just place one more X sum. We'd have three crop key dots, three X sums, and then the puzzle is solved. And maybe I have to be okay and I add in three givens. Maybe it's okay, and we have three of everything, and we're good. All is
Mm-hmm.
right in the world. But
What about we could put, I mean, it would be going back a little, but we could put an X sum on the left here now that we know that that's a 6. It would be
here.
kind of diverting a bit from the path that we had going on.
Mhm.
Um,
Because we know that at a minimum, right, if it's going to be a 2, then obviously it has to be at least 8, right?
mhm.
Um, but if it's higher than 8, then we know that it can't be 2, it would have to be 3.
Yep.
but it could be 4, 4, 6, 10. Is there something we could do that could be both? Like in a like a I guess another 12.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I
it's telling
mean,
me that it's broken, and it's broken because 3, 6, I guess 4 wouldn't work because you can't do 2, and 3, 6, 9 requires another 3, so that's why. Um, could 15 work?
I
4,
think
6.
15
Okay, so
works.
4, 6, but then you couldn't do that in 3 digits, could you? 3,
No,
6, 9, 6. So it would be forced to be a 4.
we could do 13. That would be a 3 or
Hmm.
4.
Give me some prime numbers now. What is this? What is this? Um,
But I'm also
13.
noticing we now get a 1-2 pair in the column. We get like a thing of 1-2 pairs, which I is kind of fun to play
Okay.
with.
So maybe sticking to that with those 1, 2s that I like. Because here, if it's 4, 4, 6, would have to be 1, 2. Otherwise, if it's 3, 6, 3, 9, 9, 4, and then 1, 2, 5. Does that make sense? Am I missing something here, like a different interaction with these cells?
If it was 13, it would be 4-6-1-2.
Yeah.
If it's 3, it would be 3-6-4.
Yeah. Okay. So I have the interactions there. So it's either going to be 3 with 4, or it's going to be 4 with 1, 2.
Yeah. But I don't think we can. I don't think we're relying on the true candidates there for this being a 1-2.
Yeah, this I don't know that this is 1, 2 right now
Yeah.
because in my mind, if this is 3, 4, this could be 1, 2, 5,
Yeah.
which I guess means 5 has to go again. Uniqueness says 5 has to go in the center,
Uh,
I guess, and maybe that's
well,
exactly it. Uniqueness says 5 would have to go to the center because if 5 went here, you'd have a problem with the 1, 2 pair here, and if 5 went here, you'd have a problem with the 1, 2 pair here. So I think maybe that's where the true candidates is getting it from, or no?
I'm not
Yeah,
sure, but
because
we
this could
can't.
never be this itself could never be 5 because if it was, then um
Well, I'm not
it
sure
would
we can
break there.
use uniqueness when we have X sums, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So
So I don't know.
that I think that's the reasoning why true candidates is giving that it knows this is 1, 2. Because otherwise, I agree. I don't see why this would have to be 1, 2.
Hmm.
Um, in my mind, this very well could still be 5, and it shouldn't cause any problems necessarily. But
Yeah, back to square one again. Um,
I, maybe is there ever a point where you're setting a puzzle and you just say, I don't like this, and we restart? Is that
yeah,
crazy?
no,
Is that
there is
insane to say?
no. I mean, that absolutely is a point where you say, and I think kind of what James is saying about you start saying, well, what is the puzzle supposed to be about here? Um, the times I've set 6x6s, I have a 6x6 puzzle pack, and it kind of took me a lot of work to kind of get it going. Um, and for some of the puzzles there, I entered with a very clear break-in in mind. And some of them I just kind of messed around and got what I liked. I mean, if I am perfectly happy if you want to say let's back up and start over, that would not be
Yeah,
an
I don't, I
issue.
don't, it just feels like, it's hard because when you've put in, it's like the sunk cost, right? You feel like you've put in a lot of effort into this, but
Hmm.
maybe we lost the plot, right? Maybe we've lost the plot, and we're just trying to we're clicking everywhere hoping something works.
Inspiration comes out, yeah, which is fine. Okay, so let's I think let's restart, and let's maybe start with the 6x sum again.
Yeah, we like the X sum. Maybe we just I said let's do all crop keys. Let's just get rid of all the crop keys. Okay,
Yeah.
Dream Librarian, you win. We'll use X sums. Um,
Oh,
I'm
I
just
wasn't
looking
paying
at.
attention. I think ads started. Yeah. Oh no.
Oh,
Yep,
it's
that was my bad. No, no, ads are still going. I was not paying attention to when the ads were happening though. So.
Oh, okay.
but it's okay. Yeah, so let's start with the six. I mean, how about chasing something around the outside? That might be fun, like with X sums.
So something so like have an X sum here, an X sum here, and like an X sum here maybe.
Or maybe if you move maybe like an X sum to the left, like down column one, across row six, and up column six, or something like that.
Something like you're saying like over here instead.
So like this, having one here, maybe one here, maybe one here, chasing something
Oh, okay.
around that
Oh,
outside.
literally around. Sorry, I didn't see where you placed your six. I still have
Yeah.
my six in its old position. Okay. Um, I one of the puzzles that I had set that had a funny global constraint that was um opposite pairs. Like once you find a pair for something, like if it's a one and it's rotationally symmetric to a four, every single one and four in the puzzle will be rotationally symmetric. And that was a kind of funky thing. But the way that I made that kind of work at the start was I had
Hmm.
these essentially killer cages. And of course, if you know anything about, your digits 1 to 9, right?
Yeah.
Once each, they sum to 45. So I had like, I think if I remember correctly, like two cages and then a third that kind of goes around the column so you could essentially place the corner digits and start to get some ideas. So
Mm.
I think that idea is very interesting, doing something similar where I don't know, could we like I'm just putting this so I have something here. I'm not saying I want these to all be sixes, but
Yeah. I mean, that
actually
would
there's a
give us,
problem with it would break if all of them are sixes anyways, right? So it doesn't
yeah,
matter.
they'd all have to
But
be
because if it's 3, 2, 1,
three.
it eliminates 3 and 2. I just need something
Yes.
placeholder so I have an idea. So
Yeah.
we start with 6. We know that this is 2, 3. All right.
Yep.
We know that 2 has to go in one of these cells, right?
Hmm.
This is either going to be 2, 4 or it's going to be 3. I'll say 1, 2 here, but I don't necessarily know that here, so I won't pencil mark it in the same way, even if true candidates can find something better.
Yeah.
Now that we've eliminated 2 as an option from here,
Yep.
what can we say? Could we do like 9 now?
So
9?
nine
No, but
would
9
have to
can't
be
be
three.
3. It can't be 4. So maybe we could jump to. No, but 12 could never have been 2. That's the problem. Anything greater than 8, like we said, could never have been 2. But maybe we could just do 8. Or maybe 6, 7.
We could do, I mean, we could do, we
No,
don't
7
have
doesn't
to
work.
worry
Never
per
mind.
se about the two. I mean, we could do a 10. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be that the two is counted. We could then
Mhm.
force something in the bottom right that then breaks in such a way that if this is three, say.
Okay.
So, like if you did a 10, for example, then it would be three or four.
Hmm. And we're saying 3, 4 kind of limits 5 and 6. Can we do better with that? 3, 3, 6, 1, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 6. So could we place something, maybe it's again a little bit case checky, but with something like 10, because of how restricted it is, if we know this is 4, 3, 2, 1, we would know this would have to be 5, 6. We could honestly just place something here that
Yeah.
forces the 3 backwards. Does that, I don't know, that's just kind of what I'm thinking, but is that something that, would make you happy, when you're trying to do something like this?
No, I think
Like,
so. But again, we're also trying to go for like a reasonable level puzzle, right?
yeah. So is that too complicated, right? To say we know that this would have to be 3, 4 essentially here. But I don't know. Maybe that isn't too complicated because this is going to be a 3, 4 pair across, right?
Hmm.
So then
I
it would
mean, it's
instantly place 3, 4, 2. Is that too much?
no, I don't think so. But again, it's using multiple clues, so it's kind of like, and in some ways, it kind of it's kind of funny because it's almost a misdirection because you would think that the 6 is a place to start, whereas the 10 and the 14 is actually.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, James is saying, and he's very right, of saying liking the instinct to add a bunch of clues and see what happens. And it's not the best practice, but certainly for me, even now when it comes to setting, I do a lot of that. I'll just put things around and say, hey, what happens? Oh, something is going on. Sometimes I'll
Could
do
we
it
shift
without.
it? Could we shift it where it would be like a 10 here? But that's the problem is even if we give them the right place to start, it's still kind of you have to jump around and look at all these clues, right?
Yeah. I mean, putting a 14 there isn't bad. I mean, the thing is we know that it automatically would be a 4 because the 10 is going to have the 3 across the bottom. So,
But yeah, and that's what I have. I have that it instantly gets us the 2, 3, 4.
mhm.
Um,
What were the others? I mean, we could do a 12. We could do 6, 10, 12 at the bottom. It would be a similar thing, but it would give us more to play with in column 6.
because here instead, if I sorry, just go back a bit,
Yeah.
3, 4. If this was instead
I mean, it's the
12, does
same.
this still not force? Does it still
It
not
is still a
force this though?
4.
Because yeah, it's gonna still force all of this,
Yes. But then we
but
get
it's
more to
less
play
forcing
with.
than 14. You're saying?
Well, no, actually, it's more forcing than 14 because we get more to
Okay.
play with in column 6.
Because okay, well, I guess I should also place a 4 there, right? Yeah, I should place a 4 there.
Hmm.
In column 6, the 4
Well,
kind of
make
restricts us.
12.
It could never be 6. Like 6 could never appear here. So we know 6 would have to go between these two cells. So if we have a clue that isn't a 6, or isn't a 21, I mean, then we would know that this would have to be the 6.
Hmm.
It could be 5, 1, 2, right? 5, 1, 2.
I mean, it has to be 125 because 12
What
in
are the other
4 is 4,
options?
125. That's it.
Okay, so it does have to be 1, 2. It does have to be 1, 2, 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you end up with a 3, 6.
3, 6 pair.
Yeah.
Whoops. Ugh. 3, 6. And then if this is anything other than a 21, which was kind of the goal,
Hmm.
then
See, now, I'm now thinking to be funny, you could put the clue, instead of putting a 6 at the top right, we could put a clue underneath it. So it almost becomes like a spiral inwards.
okay.
I mean, that would be kind of humorous to me. That's a sort of. So yeah, Dream Librarian says for deck and missing who taught her to set requires us that students keep to a single constraint.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe that's the problem is I tried to be too ambitious.
yeah.
Um and 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 yeah, full deck and missing a few cards. They're math professors and they teach a Sudoku class and it's like
Hmm.
amazing the puzzles that their students set. I solved the entirety of volume 1 and most of volume 2. It's kind of hard to find time to stream all of that, but with life, my studies right now. But
Mm.
yeah, it's amazing, what a little bit of instruction, some more direction can lead you to. If you haven't heard of it, it's called Signet Sudoku. I I don't remember if it has a dedicated website or they just have it on their website, but yeah, if you're watching along, you've never heard of this, you should definitely look it up. Signet, like a swan Sudoku.
Hmm.
But yeah, you know, it's not a self promotion, just a
Yeah.
community promotion, I guess. Um,
Now, if we think that 12 is too forcing, but I think it's fine to kind of
yeah, yeah, it's fine. Look, I was trying to do 14, right? But I think
yeah.
I think maybe having this 1, 2, 5. Oh, whoops! I clicked the regions thing. I don't want to do any irregular. No
No,
irregular.
not yet.
But um, I don't know. Maybe we do play with something here a bit and bring it inwards, because that's the only way where you can start
Yeah, I
eliminating
mean, this
more
is one issue
options.
with exams by itself.
Yeah,
So,
it's hard to work your way towards the center necessarily without overdoing it. So
right.
I kind of liked what you were saying here. We know it'll have to be a 3 unless it's 21.
Yeah.
So what can we do in the range? We could do anywhere from 6 to 14, right?
I mean, it could be nine. Nine is, no, actually, nine is broken. Why did I think nine? Oh, but yeah, no,
Nine couldn't be
nine is
3 2
broken.
4. It'd have to be 3 1 5,
Yeah, but
right?
the issue
But
is we have a two. We have a two if
the
you do by
2, yeah, this
Sudoku.
has to we have to have a 2 here because we
Yeah.
have to have our roping. So it would have to be 3 1. Yeah, yeah. Um
Or instead of putting it on the row, we have the 145. We could put it
in the
at the top
column. But how do we
of
get
column five.
because we're fully pencil marking this box essentially, which I
So
didn't do. I
one
neglected to
thing,
do.
yeah, one thing yeah, James makes a good point here. Sometimes, like when setting, you can always put, and I've done this with killer puzzles more, is you can put a cage of saying, well, I know it's going to be above this, and we'll sort it out later. Um, so he was saying we could make row two, column six a given three and figure out the math later. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I was going to say, sorry, I've set one a couple of times with X sums, and one thing I tend to do myself when solving exams is it's very instinctual for me just to go and pencil mark the starting digits,
All of the
just
digits, yeah.
just because that's what you do. So I don't think we have to worry too much about whether someone's done this, then what have you. Um, so putting at the
Because here the
top of,
fact that this is 145 because it can't be 3 anymore, having a
yeah,
clue above here, which I think is what you were talking about, right?
yes,
Unless it's a
yeah,
1, would pretty much instantly tell us what we have to do with it. And if it's not less than 15, or if it's not at least 15, sorry, then we know
right,
it couldn't be a 5, essentially.
right. So we could do that. But I mean, again, we could have a sum that is a four, but then there's flexibility in what it could be down the track.
Yeah. I feel like I'm going back to 14 again. Um, um,
Well, we could stick with the evens and see what happens.
yeah, just because 10, 12, 14, I feel like I want to put an 8 somewhere, you know? Maybe this is a good place for an 8 actually. You know, we put our 8 across and there we go. 3
No,
no, wait,
unfortunately,
that
eight
doesn't
doesn't
work.
work. No.
No, it would have to be and we know 9 breaks because of yeah, never mind. All right, well, I didn't want to do that anyways. We'd have to put 8. Actually, we'd have to put 8 in the corner, wouldn't we? For that to work
Yes.
here.
Which isn't bad.
I don't know if that's bad. I
No.
kind of, 3 can't be 5. It has to be 1 4. This would have to be, you know, this would be then 1 3. This would be
Yep.
1 5.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't necessarily dislike that.
Nope. And then actually, I mean, should I dare even suggest
Oh
this?
wait, I pencil marked this. This should be 1 and 6. Sorry. Yeah, 5 and 6. Yeah.
I was going to say, do I dare even suggest that we maybe do ratio dot some uh crop key?
Do we want to bring it back? Are we,
No, I mean like
the dreaded?
difference
Oh,
crop
the
key
difference.
instead.
Okay. Maybe, maybe. Just for fun, let's just throw a negative constraint. Let's just make it a white dot negative constraint. I'd be
Yeah.
fun just for fun. I did add that. I just want to see. Yeah, the puzzle is broken. There's no way for this to be a negative constraint. I'm okay with that emotionally. I
Okay,
just
good.
I just needed to know. I
You
just
had
I
to
just needed
check.
to know. Yeah, yeah,
Because the
yeah.
main,
Um,
yeah, yeah, because there's a 5 6 in the top corner already, as Flinty
oh
points
yeah,
out.
yeah. Don't
So,
mind me, folks.
yeah. So the one issue with exomes, as we've kind of alluded to, is sort of it is hard trying to get into the middle of the grid.
Yeah.
So,
What are our
ha
options? I didn't really do all my options for three here. Is there a way we can restrict this anymore, or is this kind of where we are? I'm gonna peek at your true candidates here. No,
so for
see, like, and if it
three,
was me, I wouldn't be trying to pencil mark all of these options necessarily. Like these at
no,
least make some sense, right?
yes,
Like,
yeah.
pairs and triples, like I can see how that makes sense.
Hmm.
But
So I
yeah,
think other ways in which we can try and break into the middle. That's why I was thinking of, and I kind of like that we have the sort of exomes around the outside, and then we could maybe
do we do something
dispense
similar around the middle, or
with
should
something
we
in the
stick to
middle.
the difference crop key
Um, so the reason I was thinking of the difference crop key, just for talking out loud, is that like there's a 1 3 that would have to be with a 2, for example.
with a two? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, and that kind of thing. But this is just me really
What happens if
playing
we do it
around.
nice and symmetrical? That's a joke because James specifically said don't throw a bunch of things in there and see how it works. Um,
No, he said he does throw a bunch of things in there and
Oh,
see
he
how it
does. Oh,
works.
never mind. Okay, let's
Yeah,
let's do it then. All right, I've gotten James's approval. Does it work?
it
Kind of,
is,
not really.
it does actually
Um,
give, but not too much.
yeah. I don't know. And then does it make sense, right? Like, because obviously when you start the puzzle, you can't do crap with these white dots. But
No,
now, like you're
exactly.
saying, you can see the two goes here, and this could be one or three. And then now that this is five, right? What are your options here, right? If this is
Hmm.
five, then my consideration is it's either, well, one, two, three, four. Um, can we do better? Six then has to end up somewhere down here. So that's a consideration. I'm trying to see what comes more naturally to me. And maybe people, again, who are more experienced solvers might see something else here. I don't know if your true candidates does anything better, but
Um, yeah, see, that's one thing that's important is you kind of have to look at things and say, okay, well, what's what? Um, and True Candidates does give something better for me, but I don't know how it does it. It's probably through
I'm
some
I'm I'm
tortuous things.
looking. It's giving you a three, and I guess I'm trying to think like if three, because again, it's like if three went here, then this would have to be a 1-2 pair, right? And this
Hmm.
wouldn't work then, and that's why, because three has to go between these two cells. But I don't know if that's something that comes about naturally from my solving. Like, would I look at this and be like, oh well, three between these two cells and four between these two cells. Okay, well then what does this have to be, right?
Right,
Because three
right.
here would restrict 1-2, and that's not possible because of that. Oh, actually, so then I was completely wrong. Actually, no, never mind. This can make sense because this was the problem. I was saying this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, but that's not true. It of course can't be 1, 2. I wasn't looking at that. So this is either 2, 3 or 3, 4. Either way, it requires a three. Is that something I would notice?
Mm.
Possibly, possibly, because the second you place the five here, it limits you to 2, 3, 4. So then maybe it does make sense to have a three here, and then this would be a 2, 4. And that kind of favors the sort of spiral pattern again, right? We get
Yeah.
this white crop key, and that can help us resolve that this has to have a three, and it's going to be one of 2, 3, 4. And then that gives us a three here, which gives us 2, 4 here. I don't know. Um, it's interesting.
Well, let me see a sec. I was just going
Yeah,
to.
my problem was that I was thinking that this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, but it can't,
Mm.
and that's why True Candidates is smarter than me. That's why they pay True Candidates the big bucks. Um,
So okay, so I'm just I just so you're aware, I transitioned to your screen just on OBS so people can see a bit more up close. Um, I would say back up a little and let's because I think something interesting is going on with. I think keeping the white dot at the top is good, um,
Okay.
but because that forces the two, right?
Yeah.
And now just because I was wondering what would happen if you put the ratio dot at the bottom instead of a difference dot.
Where here, you're saying?
Yeah, or maybe a ratio dot somewhere else.
It would have to be, so if it was 1, 2, 4, it would have to be 2, 1. Only option, right? Only
Hmm.
option would be 2, 1. Does that restrict us? 2, 1 would give us 5, 6, but then again, it feels like we're kind of jumping around a little too much.
Yeah.
If it's 3, 6, we would know the order,
Hmm.
and that would give us 1, 5, and then 1, 2, 5. It would force a 4, right? Oh, actually, wait, even just having the black dot here, sorry, even just having the black dot here forces 4, because this could never be 2, 4. So this would have to be 4, and then either 1, 2, or 3, 6, but can we, uh, maybe there's a way, is there a way to eliminate it further? 1, 2, 5, 6 would place 3 here. I don't see why that's necessarily a problem right now.
Hmm.
3, 6, it gives us 4. Obviously now if we add my little white crop key dot back here, then we can do that weird little logic and force a 3, 6 here. But maybe this breaks now. Um,
But now we have a position of a four, so could we maybe use that in some way?
here for um, possibly 4 between these two cells.
So, for example, if you put a white dot, not the white dot on the right, but the white dot on the left above the four.
Oh, here, like directly above. You're saying
No,
here?
no, no, in parallel with, I don't know, or maybe directly above, perhaps. That wouldn't
Oh, kind
be
of like
above.
how I had the white dots before. Um,
Or actually, directly above isn't bad because then it kind of does force things a little. I don't
yeah,
know,
because
I'm
before.
worried we might be getting to a deadly pattern soon.
Uh-oh. Um,
But we could always do another exams for that.
just throw in another exum. I really like this 6, 8, 10, 12. You know, it's very satisfying, right?
Yeah.
And I'm still stuck on this white dot here, and I don't know if that breaks stuff right now, but I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit too weird of logic, but I did kind of like to see with this, and it would force this to be 3, 6. But again, is that too forcing? Maybe I don't know. Um,
No, I mean, it's
but
okay. We can leave it. I mean, if that's what you. So let me understand what it was again. The you had a difference dot, right? And the idea was that it
yeah.
couldn't be 1 2 because of the 1 2 5 on the left.
So it always has to have a 3, right?
Okay.
And we can place 3 in this box, and because it's
Okay.
on the black dot, it gives us the
Yeah.
6. So now that there's a black dot here, it's more restrictive than when this was a white dot, because when this was a white dot, this could have been
Hmm.
either 2 or 4 as an option. But with a black dot, it instantly places 3, 6,
Okay.
and that gives us the 4. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, I mean that's it's not. Yeah, I mean I think it's a reasonable position to do for sure.
Would
Um,
placing a black dot here, then what are our options? This could either be 1, 2, or 3, 6. Oh no, but we would know what it is. Sorry, because the 6 places 6 here, and this could not be 3, 6. It would be forced to be 1, 2,
yeah.
which might actually break. And you're like you were saying, the deadly pattern, right? You're not going to have a unique thing. There'll be this nice rectangle that'll just be a 1, 2
Hmm.
pair, maybe. Let me just see. Found 8 solutions. Yeah, and we do end up with a 1, 2 as I feared.
So then let's instead let's just I know the spiral is there, but let's just maybe break that symmetry slightly. But I think one issue is it might actually, we might just have a deadly pattern already. That's the only thing.
Oh, really?
Yes, looking at the true candidates, we have a deadly pattern already.
What if we replace the bottom dot with the white dot, like how I kind
Yeah.
of had it trying to get that spiral? Does it do the same thing?
No, no. I mean, that's good. You end up with the three and the two, four. Um,
Yeah, because I did because again I was still trying to stick. What are we trying to get out of the puzzle? I kind of liked the sort of spiraling thing. Um,
mhm.
where even though necessarily we don't go 6 8 10 12, it is 6 8 10 12 kind of like down the grid, and then again now we kind of spiral in the opposite direction where we get this, which gives us this, which gives us this, which could maybe give us something here, but then I don't know how to further restrict this cell necessarily to maybe give us something here. I don't
Right.
know.
No, I mean, I think that's okay. It's just a matter. I'm trying to think how are we going to resolve the middle. That's kind of the concern for me.
Anything fun in the chat? Any
No, no, I think they're just quite happily watching us flounder, so which is fun. Um, I think part of
Come
this
on,
is because, as I say,
come on, guys, be more useful. Help
I'm
us
not.
out here.
I'm
I'm struggling. I'm struggling. This is the struggle bus. You have to hop on board with us.
and I remember one thing you had said at this is that you didn't like sort of throwing just a clue in to resolve something, that you wanted to kind of
Yeah,
resolve
and that's the
something.
problem is like I had puzzles that I really loved the way that they looked and the way that they played out. Like I did have like a different coloring puzzle. Like we were talking about, I mentioned one that Philip set, but there was one that I set, a different one. Um, that had like a binary constraint, which is also a global constraint. And
Hmm.
I think I called it Toripuru Nishio. And it was kind of a joke because in the end, your triple Nishio was just resolved by some random little killer that I threw in there.
Oh,
Um,
geez.
yeah, and that was the problem is that it looked really nice, but I couldn't get it to resolve, and I didn't want to add a given. And if I just added like a single given, it would have all collapsed, but maybe it would have collapsed too early, and I don't know. It's just I don't know. What would be the motivation for adding an extra constraint? Like what would be the thing that would bring it together? Like, maybe we do a little killer thing and little killers are kind of can actually be in a bit of a spiral maybe. I don't
Hmm.
know. Um
The thing for little killers, I find, at least when I set with them, is I kind of feel like I try to. That's actually one where I try and use a more global constraint. Um,
mhm.
we Little killers and exums aren't actually bad bedfellows,
I
to
don't know.
be
I was just
honest.
kind of thinking about like how they can like the interplay between the digits that we have and what we could be wanting from them. But again, now we're just complicating it. So then do we go back and remove the white dots to add in the little killers? Because I don't want to like be adding in, all these constraints without actually,
Yeah.
thinking it through. Because that again, I said that's a weakness is I just start throwing a bunch of constraints in and I say, does this work? Does it kind of look nice? And it doesn't most of the time. But I
No,
say
that's
I guess
true.
this is a puzzle. Um,
So one good thing with little killers is because the digits can repeat. I think they have a lot more flexibility. So there wouldn't necessarily. Let me go back to the other. There wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing about, say, having a pattern of like little killers, something like that, that's kind of a spiral of itself.
yeah. And that's why I was kind of thinking about Little Killer was because it kind of, it literally points you in a direction, right?
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, James, I mean, it's rough. James says he doesn't like the idea of two different outside clues, and my instinct would kind of be like, yeah, I don't know if that's a great idea.
that's
um,
fair. That's fair. There's a fun puzzle that I did by Skojo. I think it was called like Thinking Outside the Box or something like that, where it was all outside clues, and it was you had to determine whether the clue was a sandwich sum, a skyscraper clue, or an X sum, which I thought was really cool. But that's the type of level I would love to get to, but it's like I can't even deal with one outside clue right now, let alone,
Yeah,
you have to be able to determine which of three it could be. Um,
yeah, that's very advanced kind of level thinking for sure. Um, no, I mean, I think I like the idea that we had of kind of having the outside spiral that does something and then maybe resorting to um, Kropke in the
an
middle.
internal spiral.
Yeah, but I think we just have to think where do we want that to be? I
Hmm.
mean, I immediately kind of had suggested like putting something here. Let me get off the thing. Just because we have this, but we could easily put something here and have a
Yeah.
similar thing here.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, we couldn't necessarily do it there, though. That's the only thing. I have done some, actually, one of the puzzles that's kind of on my list that I'm trying to think of how to do it is having an ambiguity puzzle that's like numbered rooms and skyscrapers.
Hmm.
Um, and the reason I'm thinking that is because I had a duality puzzle where the clues were numbered rooms and skyscrapers, so I kind of now want to do the flip side.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I haven't even thought how I'm even gonna break that yet, though. So, um,
And for that type of puzzle, when you have a very specific goal in mind, that's something where you like spend a lot of time, I'm assuming, designing the break-in
yes,
before you actually come back. Because like even though I've been stuck here on this 6 by 6, for the last hour and change, um, the goal is, once you have those, like we move past it and we get to higher level Sudoku, then your goal is to be more intentional, essentially.
yes, and as you said, like it's much easier with a 9 by 9 to kind of have that. I think. Um,
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna move this to a 9 by 9. I kind of like how it is right now in its little
no,
six
certainly
by
not.
six.
I think if we do a 9 by 9, we should kind of almost do like an artisanal Sudoku type puzzle where we really just try and break the symmetry early on. But it's the
Hmm.
9 by 9. It's interesting. 6 by 6s, I personally also feel very restricted on just because it's like there
Yeah,
really is not much to play with. Um,
yeah. Well, you like you said, you'd solve the Matreshka Gutanista, the Russian doll sum for the Katadoku pillar, and
mhm.
I don't know why, but it just like because of the constraint and the fact that I had givens that I was required to use, it kind of
Yes.
forced me into a very specific direction. And you can see me setting it live. Like I didn't know those givens ahead of time. Like I was there in the moment,
Hmm.
and it just flowed. But I guess it was because I knew this is the variant I'm sticking to. It's a very restrictive variant. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of like play with it, as I'm sure you saw when you were solving it, and there are four givens that are imported in from the previous puzzle, right?
Hmm.
So, different circumstances, but I guess it kind of shows
It's
like
something
the
I
thought
made a note of,
process.
and I might actually try and use that as a rule set for 9 by 9 because I found it very interesting. I don't know if you'd consciously realized it as well, that because you had sevens and sevens, because of the nature of the rules, uh, a 7 and 7 is always going to be a two middle sandwich
Yeah, with the two up,
because
yeah.
and you end
One,
up with
two,
three
four
pairs of
eliminates
sevens.
all the options. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I thought that was pretty cool. All right, back to the plot here.
Yeah,
Um, you sound so enthusiastic on that. Okay, I mean, I think we can. So the main thing that I would think at this point is we want to try and have a clue that's either going to give us something to develop. I mean, this one isn't necessarily a bad clue.
I
Um,
kind of liked it, but it was just because, I hadn't seen it before, and I just quickly just said, oh yeah, it can be any of one, two, three, four. But when you spend
mhm.
like any more than 2 seconds, you realize, hey, wait a second, it's pretty actually easily restricted to two, three, four, and
Right.
that was kind of like what we were trying to do in the previous puzzle where we had kind of like the 1 2 4. I think this kind of
Hmm.
does a similar thing, and I liked what that was doing. But obviously, the way that it played out, I didn't like the way it ended up playing out, which is why I said, "Can we just start over?" I just like this. This doesn't feel right anymore. Essentially,
Yeah.
um,
So yeah, the only downside with that though is that we end up in a situation where I think we're going to end up with a deadly pattern of five sixes that we have to resolve. Um,
even down the line with just this
yeah.
crop.
No, I'm just thinking if we went and used that three for something else, then we end up with a deadly pattern that we can't. Um, that we to resolve it, we would have to do a clue that is going to be used early on and is going to negate pretty much everything else.
Negate most of the logic. If
Yeah.
I do the just find all solutions and valid candidates, which I don't know if it's exactly the same as the true candidates on ranks thing, but when I add in all of my white dots, I end up with 24 solutions, and I don't immediately see the deadly pattern pop out here, but that
Mhm.
doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I'm sure that if I'm working through it, there's some considerations where just by placing, and that's the thing, is these 4 dots aren't enough to make some sort of unique. So we would need something else.
Right.
Um, could we just ignore this white dot here and try to spiral towards the center? Would this be too restrictive? Something like this instead. We get rid of this and this. We get a 3, but we don't get a 2, and then we kind of have this, spiral inwards. I don't know.
The
Um,
issue with that is that dots can repeat, so the numbers can repeat on the dots because it's going across boxes. Like that number could be the same.
yeah, and then I guess that doesn't really do a lot. There's not much I can take from this is the problem.
Right.
Four doesn't have to go here. That was in the very specific circumstance before. Four, yeah, because it has to be one. It could be. I guess what could it be? One,
It's
two.
very
But I don't want to think too much.
interesting that we picked two constraints that are really quite fun to work with. Um,
I really wanted to make that work, but it needs more, right? This is not where we are. This is not enough.
hmm. Well, what about if instead of
Well, okay, sorry, 1 second.
yeah,
Sorry,
go
just
for
because
it.
I was just thinking about this here, and I don't know why I wasn't thinking about it before. The fact that this is 2 or 4 tells us that this has to be 2 or 4, right?
It has to have a two or four on it. Yes.
Right. So does that do anything? But that gives us too many options because it could be 1 3 5 otherwise. I guess it can't be 6. 1 3 5. Does that play with this? It does. Oh, no, it doesn't because this could be 6 here.
Hmm. I hadn't spotted that, but that's actually not a bad.
I don't know. I just thought about it, and I wasn't really thinking about it because I was looking at just kind of what the true candidates gave. But I was like,
Yeah.
how do I use this? And I realized that this is restrictive in some way, but I don't
Hmm.
know if I can build something more from that um, with this
So,
set and across. But it just feels like too complicated, and obviously it's not resolved, right? Like if I just say find all solutions, then there's still a ton. The solver sees that this can't have 2, and I'm sure it's very smart for figuring that out.
hmm.
Um, I don't necessarily see why that can't be 2 right now, um, but
So at this, yeah, I was going to say at this point we could, because I feel like we kind of stuck. We could try and tweak one of the earlier clues. It would get rid of the 12, 10, 6, 9,
you're
but I don't know.
Trying to get rid of my 6, 8, 10, 12. You
No, I
know,
mean I like it. I like that as well. It's very
it's
appealing.
like the one thing I wanted to be stubborn on, and now we have to see. Um,
No, I mean let's leave it then if that's something that appeals.
I don't know. I really liked your white clue, your white dot clue, and then again, I feel like I'm starting to use some information to get around, but it's like just barely not enough where we can get a 2-4 here, and I think that this is like if I was pencil marking this, I would hope that this is the point to where I would get to where I would then say, okay, well this cell has to be on this crop key dot. What does that do? It says it can't be 6, but the problem is this cell here, it still gives us that kind of weird option. If this was 2-4 with 1-3-5, let's say, well, I
Mm.
guess 1-3-5-6, 2-4, we know that whatever this is, the opposite has to go here. Like if this is 2, then this would have to be 4. Does that help? This is 4, this would have to be 2. I don't know. And again, the solver sees for some reason that this can't be 2, and I don't immediately see why. Like it sees some
Yeah.
interesting pairs. And honestly, we haven't played much with the 10. I don't know if there's more we can do with the 10. Is there a digit we can restrict from the 10? Like 5, for example? Like, is there something we can do here that could theoretically interact with this 2-4? 3-1-6 is obviously still an option. If it's not 3-1-6, it's 3-2-5, right? Those are
Yeah.
my two
Yes, that's
options.
correct. I mean, an easy thing there would be to, if you put a ratio dot, it just forces. So, because you can't have a three, so it has to be 1, 2, 4. I mean, on the if you put a ratio dot in boxes. So one thing I'm realizing just with this pattern that we have, I think the spiral is fine, but we're gonna end up with it. I think either way, we're gonna end up with a deadly
The deadly
pattern.
pattern that you've been talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, because the symmetry is too much. So if we want to use the dots in some way, I think we can, but we should try and do it in a way that is going to avoid potentially a deadly pattern that might resolve things.
If so, we always know that this is a 3 if I keep this white dot, let's just say. But
If
then
you keep the two white dots, yeah.
if I shift this over, this could never be 1-2 because then you would have no option for
Right.
the 10, which means actually even better, sorry. Easy thing is we know it always has to have 4. So it's
Yes.
either so well if it always has to have 4 then it has to be 4-5. So that's like
Hmm.
super restrictive, but maybe that's what we need. 4-5. Wait, but does that break?
I
Because
think
now
that
we've
might
used
break.
4-5. No, it could be 3-1-6. No, it couldn't because then this has no
Yeah.
options. This can't be 2.
Yeah. So that does break.
Maybe I have to abandon this cute little 3 thing that I was doing here. Um, or maybe we do add a black crop key dot, but yeah.
Hmm.
All right, crop key. We're playing around with things. We see we see what makes us happy. We know that this is 3. Then what are our
Well,
options? We know this has to be 1.
before you even, I mean, just with that black crop key dot by itself, it actually
Well, we
forces
know
things.
it has to have 4 on it, so it has to be 2-4, right?
Well, but I mean, even without everything else that you've put on, it actually is, it does. So if you take out,
Because
even
again, it
if,
can't be 1-2 because of what I said before, because then it gives us no options here. It can't be 3-1-6 or 3-2-5. So from the start, if I place a 3 here, I can instantly get that this can't be a 1-2 pair and it can't be a 3-6 pair, so it'd have to be 2-4.
yeah. Oh, yeah, actually, even just by Sudoku, you're right. I hadn't even
That
noticed that that has to be a four, have to have a
that's what I'm
four
saying.
on.
So the fact that this is
Yeah.
the 3 and with that it's like it's without even knowing this is 4. The fact that this is a 3 just immediately says this can't be 1-2, and that would force 2 here, which would force this to be 2-3. But does that break? Puzzle is impossible. Okay, 1 second. What if I get rid of this white dot? Is it still impossible? Puzzle is still impossible. Great. And that's what I was worried about, where you force. Oh, sorry, no, 2 gets forced here, and this has to be 3-4.
Hmm.
Why does this break?
That is,
No, they still found 24 solutions. What? Why did it say puzzle's impossible? Okay, I don't know why it said puzzle impossible, but okay. Um, 324. The fact that this is two instantly, and but that's the problem. This would instantly, the second you have the black dot here, and you know that you have a three, you know this has to be 316, right? Like again, without anything else here, right? If
mm,
this is a three, this is instantly 2 4, and it has to be 1 6,
yeah,
which would give us five very early on. And maybe
one
that's not a
six.
big deal. I don't know.
No, it's okay.
1 6, 1 2 5 does force 3 4. 3
You
4
have
gives us
2 5
4
at the
1.
bottom. Yeah,
Yeah, 2 5, 2 5, 3 4 2 5. But this is where you're saying we might break here. So
we
is
have a
this
deadly pattern already because of the 1 6.
1 6 1 6? Yeah. So could we add another black crop key dot? Maybe actually that gets rid of the
Okay,
uniqueness.
actually, so again, just through playing around, I know you'll probably. So the 2 4 is powerful by itself, even without the white dot that you have in box four,
Yeah,
right? That basically. So if you take the white, just take that white dot out a sec. If you back up,
it'd still give us the 2 4 1 6 5, and we would know this would be 3 6 1.
yeah, and you would know where the one is,
Yeah,
and you would have a 3 6 pair instead of resolved 3 6s.
which would be which instead of this. So let's one second. Let me just go back a bit just so I can make sure I'm not doing anything. So we get this is not 3 4 necessarily because we've gotten rid of this.
Yeah.
So we have, whoops, not negative constraint. We have the one here. We know that this is a 3 6 pair. We know that this is a 2 5. We
Hmm.
know that this is 2 5
Yeah.
resolved.
Yeah.
We have to be careful not to have a 1 4 or a 3 6.
So one thing we could do is we kind of repeat what we did earlier.
Mm-hmm.
If you put a black dot in column two, straddling box one and three there, because now it can't be 2 4. It would have to be
Yeah.
1 2, and that actually then gets into box four. It resolves things. It resolves across. I don't know
2
if that's
5
actually.
5 5 2 2 4 4. I'm like I was tracking the digits in my head, but there's no need. I can just place
Yeah.
things. This is 3 3 1 2
The,
5 4.
yeah.
2 3. Wait, what am I missing? What am I
I,
missing?
no, that's it. I think.
Okay. I was like trying to look for something else. 1 3 6. Yeah. But then that means we need one more thing. Could we throw a white crop key dot here?
Or, I mean, the thing is, so now
No,
just
because
looking at
it's the 1 6 deadly pattern again. We'd need to straddle the box.
exactly what about there because it couldn't be six
It'd
because
have
of
to
the
be 3
five.
4. It'd have to be 3 4, and it resolves. Okay. Uh, you know, a little bit of symmetry break is okay, right?
Right, but I think we still have. Um,
Even amount of black and white dots. We got some nice evenness here. All
yeah,
right, well, obviously there's some ways that like when we were solving this, we know how to jump into it. So like 6 here is going to be 2 3, 10 is going to be 3 4, 12 is also going to be 3 4, but because of the restriction here across, um, we know that this can't be 4 because it needs to be 4 3 2 1, which would give us no options. So this must be 4 with 3 with
yeah.
2. This cannot be 2, so it can't be 2 6, so it would have to be 3. But so I don't
You
know.
should,
So
but you should fill in. You remember their
that's what I'm
X
saying.
sums.
So
Yeah,
like this will be 4,
yeah,
right? 3 will either be, well, it can't be anyways. So this has to be 1 5, right? That's the only,
1 4.
or 1 4. Sorry, this is the only option, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because otherwise it would have to be 1 with 2 5. So it has to be 1 4 pair. Um, the other thing, we know that this is like, I know now that this is 1 2 5,
Well,
but I
don't
don't know if I
don't
would
no,
but
don't
I
put
don't know
that
if I would
in.
immediately jump to that.
Yeah,
I and the thing that I got stuck with is that we have the 4 just by Sudoku that we know has
yeah,
to go here. So we know instantly that this is 2 4, like
yeah.
easily resolve the black dot,
Mm-hmm.
um, without even doing anything up here.
Right.
And then that's when the considerations come in. Okay, well then,
Well, but then
what?
now you can look at the 10 because that's all in that box, remember?
Because now this is the 1 6, right? Because it
Yeah.
can't be 2 5 anymore. This is then 2 5. This will be 5. This is 1 6.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I don't know
Hey, you don't
if this
hate
was
it?
my first idea, but so and that's what's interesting. 6 and 1 here are both super restrictive, right?
Yeah.
Um, but we were also considering the options here. I guess we could then say easily, actually, could this be 6? And the answer would be no. This couldn't be 6 because you would need to make 2 in 2 digits, right? Without trying to consider possibilities, you can very easily remove 6 as an option from here.
Yeah.
Um, and that leaves us with what? That leaves us with 2, 5, 6. We know already from this that we have 5, so we need to make 7. So it has to be 2, 5. This will be 6 here. This will be 2, 5. And then that's where we kind of fill across. Could this be 3, 6? No, this couldn't ever be 3, 6.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because of the 1 6 here. So it actually has to be 1 2, which kind of trivializes this white dot. I
Well, I
might
mean, that
pretend that
white dot
white dot
was
doesn't exist,
okay. Carry on then. Yeah.
just to see how it plays out. Because
Okay,
this
yeah.
will instantly be
Do
3.
that.
I don't know the 2 5 here though. This will be 5 6. But yeah, I'm trying to experiment a little bit, see what crops up,
No,
pun
that's
intended.
good. I mean,
Um,
I actually
okay.
think that's good to do. I often will in test solves see if there's clues that are kind of redundant or that can be removed.
Yeah.
So
So this is the thing. This has to be 3 because it can't be 5, or it can't be, sorry, it can't be 6 with 5 because this can't be 5.
yeah,
So it has to be 3, can't be 2, must be 4. 4, 1, 1, 2, 5, 6, 6, 1, 6, 1, 3. Sorry, this is 6. Yeah, okay.
yeah.
And we're left with a deadly pattern, and this white crop key dot resolves it. Could I move this crop key dot elsewhere where I would be happier? Not really, I don't think.
No, but I think I think at least for me the important thing is that dot kind of
It's necessary. The
it's
dot is
necessary,
necessary.
but it comes into play early. It isn't like you get to this point and then go, oh well, there's this clue that I haven't used.
Yeah.
So
Well, I don't know how much longer we're gonna hold each other hostage here, but yeah, I don't know if we're gonna have time for a 9 by 9. But I think that this at least so far has been very instructive. I don't know how long you've allotted for this.
well, I don't know if we'll get through a whole 9 by 9, but I think we should move to a nine by
Start.
nine and at least try
Sure.
and come up with the beginnings of a
Okay.
break in so that maybe you could then potentially go away and tinker with it yourself. So,
Let me just change that real quick. I forgot. It's all one word, right? Tallcat.
yes,
Okay, I was making sure. All right, that way I have this. I don't know what I can call this. Uh, uh,
spiral, I guess. Doom
spiral.
spiral.
There you look. Look.
Doom
So,
spiral.
look at this guy. Look at this guy. It's like he's a professional. Um, let's move to a 9 by 9. Let's
Yeah.
create. All right.
Okay.
I obviously I'm I'm thinking to myself, what global constraint can I add to make Tallcat lose his mind? But in all honesty, I think something that's interesting to play with is like obviously there's a lot of different line clues, but I think like maybe some sort of palindrome thing, or since we're dealing with more digits, maybe killer cages would be interesting. Something along those lines. I don't know.
So generally, I would say I, I think killer cages are probably one of, and I'm sure people in chat would agree. I think killer cages are probably one of the easiest things to start playing with. For me, when I first started, I did a lot of arrow puzzles. That was mainly because um, I had watched a setting video by Jovial, and it was about an arrow Sudoku, and I really liked arrow Sudokus. But then, as I've gotten better at setting, like killer cages are kind of a favorite for me because they're mathy, a bit mathy, but they can have geometric deductions as well. So that's kind of why I like them. So I think they would be good to include potentially with either as a single constraint or mixing with a line constraint.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's why I was saying palindrome, but maybe I don't know, maybe something that's more restrictive, something like a German whisper could be interesting.
mhm.
I don't want to go too crazy with like a modulo line or entropic
Oh no,
line. I feel like
no,
that's maybe like they're not hard necessarily, but that might be
a bit too
pushing
much.
it too
Yeah.
much. So I don't know. You were talking about arrows. I feel like if we're gonna do killer cage, I don't necessarily want to do arrows just
Hmm.
because it's like math with math. I don't know if
Yep.
that's the sort of thing, but I'd rather have math that informs you know, digits along a line, lows, highs, or something
Okay.
like that.
Okay. So
Maybe Dutch
then,
whispers just because it's slightly less restrictive, but I don't know. I definitely prefer German whispers over Dutch whispers, but and they seem a little bit more straightforward generally because you just know low, high, right? As opposed to
yes.
Dutch whisper,
Yeah. So okay. So German whispers and killer cages.
killer.
Okay.
All right. With something like this, right, we obviously can start with things that are super restrictive, right? Like you could just make a 10 cage here that's 4 cells and say, okay, what is that going to be, right?
Hmm.
But I don't know. And then maybe that's where you start a German whisper. You don't actually even know which of one, two, three, and four go there, but it's the start of a German whisper. I don't know. This is just like the idea that I'm trying to think of is like how can you essentially place killer cages and a German whisper
Hmm.
such that you don't necessarily know a value exactly, but you know I don't know, it's not parity, it's like the lowness or
The
highness
high
of it,
lowerty.
I guess. Yeah,
The
the
high
high
lowerty.
lowity. I don't even know. I think I do call it parity when I'm solving German whispers, but I know that's not right because generally when we speak about parity, especially in like a binary system like ones and zeros or like odd and even, I don't low and high doesn't
Yeah.
really feel the same, but
I mean, you
um
could say the flavor.
I digress.
Uh, so, or polarity. Polarity. Yes.
Polarity. I like that.
Yeah.
Who said that? Was it
That
you or was it
was no Prof Meow and Dream Librarian both said polarity. Yes.
polarity? Okay. Thank you both. Thank you both.
Hmm.
Okay. So our polarities. Um
So, I mean, what you suggested isn't a bad idea. Something like
Maybe it's
that. I
complicated.
no, no, but I think you could kind of tweak it a bit and make it a little fun. But this is me. But this is kind of where my brain goes, and I wouldn't necessarily
Yeah, no, and this
say
is
we
why
would
you're here,
advocate
right?
it.
So tell me.
So, for example, like you had said about adding a 10 here, for example. So if we instead said let's add an 11, this is kind
Yeah,
of how my
one, two,
brain
three,
goes.
five, right?
That would be
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 5. But
Yeah.
then I think if you, it kind of plays a bit with expectations because if you had a German whisper line like that, can that be a low?
Hmm.
And the answer is no, because if it was a low, it would be a 4, and that would both be 9, and it would
Yeah.
rule out 9 from the thing.
Rule out
But
nine from there.
then
Yeah.
on the flip side, having four, five, having 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, the odds that this is going to be a low are kind of slim anyway. So it's sort of, but that's just kind of
But you
how.
see, like the fact that I'm trying to say something where I wanted to put a 10 here and then be like, well, what if I just peek a little bit of the German whisper into it?
Mm,
And you immediately go to this kind of thing, which is what I was like with palindrome. When I brought up palindrome, a pattern that I'd seen before that I thought was kind of cute was this sort of deal. And I saw it, I think I've seen it in two different puzzles
hmm
that I can at least, I think I remember. One was from 24 AYN5, and another was from um, Walking Writer, um, who both have like set puzzles in general and done other stuff. Like Walking Writer is a writer, and 24AYN does like some gaming stuff. But they both set some interesting puzzles with this kind of idea here, where you know, for example, is like how far out could you make this palindrome? And the
mm,
answer is like if you tried to make it 5 length here, then obviously this breaks spectacularly
yes,
because
you
then you
can't
need
put
to
five
put whatever
digits.
these 5 digits are into 4 cells, right? And and
But I think you
you
have the
but
beginnings of a
here's the
good
thing, you
idea
did
there.
exactly that with a instead of a an 8 length palindrome, you just see that and you instantly can put in your brain, I can do that with a 3 length German whisper. And that's like not to get distracted as I'm clearly doing, but like that's just so cool. I for lack of a more eloquent term, it's so cool that you can just like that's the type of thing that your brain goes to.
So, but I think if you take out, I think we could do something similar here. So let's consider that there's going to be a cage where you've put it in the corner. We don't
Yeah.
have to settle. You don't have to settle on what the value could be. We could just leave it as a cage for the minute.
Like James
And
was saying, I think.
yeah, and then what would it be like if you drew
A German
like
whisper
two
across.
German whispers like this, sort of pointing into
Hmm.
the box?
So yeah, because if we're oscillating high and low, um, the question is could it be a 6 set of lows?
Yeah. Now, if you wanted to make it more restricted, then you would join the two together because then the
Yeah.
squares that you had highlighted would be the same
Yeah.
polarity.
You would do like what you were saying here or something, or even to maybe avoid this box, do
Yeah.
something like this.
So then, yeah, then it becomes a thing of, well, if you've made the total of the cage something that could only ever have two low digits in, then
Hmm.
then that would tell you the polarity. That gives you something to play with.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, again, this is like, kind of jumping outside where again I was trying to be like, oh well, then if we do this, we know this is a low and maybe that carries across to another cage
Hmm
that can only have one low in it, maybe
Yeah,
at most. And that's kind of what you're saying here, but without directly interacting, without the clues needing to touch, pretty
right.
much. Um,
Now, if you wanted to, I mean, I think if you wanted to go back to your original idea, why isn't it working? You could do something a little more straightforward. I tend to be someone who tends to advocate rather than having clues sort of per se interacting. I like my clues
mhm,
to be kind of separate, but that they can influence each other. So doing something like this, say just hypothetically, at
yeah,
least there's one low and one high and one low and one high. So you know
which
at
means
least
this could never be 10, right? In this case,
yeah,
right?
or 12 even or 13, so it gives you that kind of sort of flexibility. You could even have a question of, well, if five in the cage, if five isn't in the cage, it's there, but if it's not there, then it's in the cage, that
It
kind of
has to
thing.
be. Yeah, yeah.
So
Hmm.
um, So that's one possible. Another, just to give you examples, and I'm not advocating again that we use any of these. So I had a puzzle that was actually an entropic line um, killer cage puzzle, and the main setup for that was I had a 17 cage here, I actually had two 17 cages, and then I put the entropic line going like this. And
Oh, okay.
because the 17 cage has to have one, two, and three in it,
Two, three. Yeah, yeah.
then this could
Oh,
not be
so you
one,
buy.
two, and three. So that's
Okay.
kind of like the starting point. And I had a symmetrical one here because, I'm obsessed with symmetry. Um, but that means that not only do you not get a one, two, three here, but it means there are two one, two, threes here, which means that these are one, two, three as well. And then when I did the same over here, it was like one, two, three here, and then I had a cage here that I needed. If it had two one, two, threes
At
in, it was
least
going to
one of
break.
one, two, three, and how it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's another way, and that's again just a hypothetical. So now
Hmm.
that might be a bit more order. So I mean, we can start with your idea of the one thing I like with having a low and a whisper is that you could easily then reflect and do a high and a whisper here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's the problem is also just, I've done too much gas. I talk about girths too much, where it's like, when I see a 10 cage here, I kind of want to throw a 30 cage here, just so I have my kind of, 10 some symmetry. But
but actually, killer cages, I think, are one of the best cages that you can break symmetry with, where you can
yeah,
have it in the same place, but then you put one number different.
29 instead of 30.
Exactly. I mean, it sounds silly, but yeah, exactly. That
Yeah, yeah,
if you
yeah.
do that, then that can propagate. So,
Yeah, and what I was saying, I don't know if I was explaining it very well, but it's like if we know that this is a low, right, and then we draw this like this, and then we did, let's say, we were doing it kind of this method, and we knew this was a high, and we had a cage here where I don't know, let's say it was like 9, for
hmm,
example, then you would know it would have to be 6, right? Because it
okay,
can't be 711, right? Just
yeah,
as an example, I'm not saying that's what I want to do, but like you 6 and then 1 and then I guess you would have to have the German Whisperer go through the cage so you could have
hmm,
another one somewhere because otherwise it can't really escape. But this is just I in this hypothetical example, right? Then you would know that this would have to be the 6 even or that this 9 cage would have to be 612
right,
without still knowing anything about what digits are going into this, let's say, 11 cage, for example.
yeah. No, I mean, I think that's not a bad idea, and I can kind of see getting back to what James had said earlier. I can kind of see how that can become very thematic.
Yeah.
Like you could have a series of like you could let's see.
Like, could this be a 12, for example? Like, if this cage was like a 12 cage, you theoretically could have a 6 here, right? And
Yeah, no,
if
you
this was
couldn't.
6, then you don't even know that, like, if this is a 9 cage, sorry, I'm still stuck on this for a moment here, but you would know that one of these two would have to be 6 and the other one has to be 1. So this would form like a 1 6 pair with a 2 here, even if you can't resolve the 1 and the 6 immediately. Whereas in the other version where this was a 10 cage, you would know immediately that this would have to be the 6 1, and then that would just resolve the whole cage, right? This gives us some more ambiguity. Like you said, if you push it something like if you push it higher
Yeah,
almost.
so I mean, unfortunately, with the 12, it couldn't be a six because 12 with a six is 6 1 2 3, and you would need a one
Yeah, yeah,
next to
that's what
the
I'm saying.
six.
So because of that, it lets us have this ambiguity between
No, no,
one
because
six.
because if
Oh,
row two column two is a six, then the 12 cage
oh,
becomes six one
one.
two
Oh,
three.
well, okay. Well,
But I
so I
what
would
you're
I
the
would need
way
to do this.
no, it would still break because you still need
Would it?
a one in the cage. But I think what you're thinking about is a good way to
Oh
kind of
yeah.
like push the
Okay.
ambiguity up. Um,
All right.
so But I actually don't hate what you were drawing there because I was going to say, I was actually going to put in like you could do something like this in a way that you could then repeat the pattern. And you could have it in a
Oh.
way where maybe one of them is going to be low and one of them is going to be high, and that breaks the symmetry.
Hmm.
So like 12 wouldn't work, but
Okay.
maybe let's see, would 13 work? No, because you'd so 14 would work because I think you can have a six in a four. No, 15 would work because you can have a six in a cage without a one.
And the reason that it breaks is because it requires the six with the one, and that's what I wasn't thinking about. Because the
Yeah,
second you place the six along the line,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, the things that don't immediately come to my mind that in hindsight it makes a ton of sense, right?
Hmm.
Um, so something like this, and you would know that. Could this ever be double high? The answer is no, right? Could it be double low though would be the question, right? And
That's
I
yeah,
hmm, we know at least one of them is a low. I don't know, it's just things to play with essentially. So
yeah,
I see what you're saying is you don't like you were showing me you don't necessarily have to have the clues interact, but if you do, you have to make sure it's happening in, you know, like you shouldn't have a German whisper that just takes three cells of the cage necessarily.
right, right.
That doesn't lead to something more
Hmm.
from there. Um,
I can hear the heavy
I could have
breathing.
9 with 1, 2, 3, right? So this literally could have every single digit, but maybe it can't, and I'm missing some restrictions with the German whispers. But
Right.
yeah,
And I think for this kind of thing, you would want to be careful because you don't want necessarily, if this is the break-in, you don't necessarily want somebody to be sitting there going through all the
for
possible
10
15
minutes.
combinations. Um,
Yeah.
so that's
No,
just something to keep in mind.
like the one thing with killer cages is Sven has done some amazing things with Sudoku pad, and some people they like to use the killer cage calculator.
Yeah, I've become a bit
I
over-reliant on that.
I I I purposefully don't use the killer cage calculator because
Hmm.
really when you're solving a killer cage puzzle, and most killer cage puzzles I've done, if I'm sitting there trying to work through all the possibilities, then
Yeah,
that's probably not where I'm supposed to be looking, right? The
right.
setter probably hasn't made you sit there and think about here's the 10 different possibilities. Now realize that none of those 10 possibilities have a 7 in them.
Yeah,
Great. So now we can use that information, right?
yeah.
Um, and I can see that as well, which is why my brain immediately went to what's the most restrictive thing I can do, which is the 10, right? But 10 and
Hmm.
11, they're kind of I when I say it, I always say 10 is a true minimum and 11 is like a pseudo minimum because
Yeah.
you're like what it has to be, but you don't but it's not like the absolute minimum. Um,
So, I mean, if you want to go back to your original idea then of having it be an 11 or a,
yeah,
then let's start with that.
and play around with it. Be confident, This is what I want. So, okay, with 11, we know that it's 1, 2, 3, 5,
Yeah.
right? Oh, no, don't reload the site. 1, 2, 3, 5. I kind of like the German Whisper coming off of here. Like the idea of like a branch German Whisper, like what you were saying before,
Hmm.
was interesting. But then, if that's the case, like you were saying, I don't necessarily need to use like a connection here because I can say like I don't I don't need a connection here to know that this is going to be a high because even without this connection, this will be a high, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Right. But again, those are slightly different level deductions.
yeah. And
Like someone could look,
if I'm trying to design like a 1 or 2 star, I don't know if
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe this is something that comes up from a 1 star deduction. Like, could this be a 4, double 9, no option? Maybe. Um,
No, I mean, if let's, I would say keep it, have a branching and keep it to the box for the minute.
so we know this has to be a high of some sort,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And this is something I haven't done for a while because recently on the channel, I say recently, the past few months or so, maybe even longer, I've been doing clean solves where I don't pencil mark because it's
Okay.
gas, like
Right.
Because if you just pencil mark everything, like I say, some people maybe they're doing it clean in like a minute, but I see some people blasting through these things in a minute, and I'm like, I don't know how you saw all these crazy interactions, but of course, if you're pencil marking, then it's very easy, right? But
Right. No,
that's not to
exactly.
discredit anyone. I'm sure some of these people, especially when I see a 1 minute solve time, I'm 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 very impressed, and I'm also intimidated um, with
So
the
one
skill level.
one thing, one advantage I think of actually forcing of doing this is you still get the kind of same thing that like this high, if you extended the German whisper, say just even one either way, just to give an example of how my brain
Yeah,
is thinking, like these three highs are all different.
because if this was ever the same, then there'd be no option here.
Right, which is interesting. So,
Yeah, and if you did your color coding, which is what I was getting to eventually, with all my blabbering, is that, if you're doing your color coding, then I can use yellow and blue, but maybe that's a little too, in your face. But, that gives you some idea of, where do your lows and highs go? And this is the type of thing I might be doing in a German whisper if I was pencil marking and color coding and the like,
mhm.
because the consideration then is 6, 7, 8, 9. And actually, I'm going to be particular. I'm actually going to flip this. Um, right? We actually know that this could never be a 4, for example, right? Because 4 would require a double 9. So
Oops, I think I did too many. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I kind of like that, and it's distinct. So whatever this digit is, and this is maybe where we get into the kind of like further than the color coding, like where you
Yeah.
do like a disambiguation thing, where this specifically, the pink yellow one will go in one of these two cells, right? One of these two
Hmm.
cells will be pink yellow, not 9, sorry, and then one of these two cells will be, I don't know, let's say yellow green, for example. Like that's probably a little bit too much, but that's the type of thinking that you could maybe bring to another German whisper that exists somewhere else. I don't know.
Hmm. Or, I mean, then you could, if you want to play on the symmetry, like throw in another killer cage.
Hmm. And
So, like,
how those
right,
interact in some way.
yeah. So with these three being different, that means you have three high digits here. So
Here
you could,
already, yeah.
yeah. So you could put a killer cage here that might inform that, or you have three
What
high digits
digits? Yeah.
here. Yeah.
That's interesting. So yeah, if I play with something like this, then like you said, I know that like I said, or like I was saying, is like whatever you call this, if you call this yellow green or what have you, this digit here is going to go here, right? If you even just
Hmm.
ignore the low and high and you just say this is a green digit, we know the green digit will go in one of these two cells, and we know, I don't know, the pink digit will go in one of these two cells.
Yeah.
So what that means is like you said, we've accounted for these things.
Yeah.
So what's the consideration still? Is maybe one of these, this is kind of a strange thing, and I can't immediately think of a number that this satisfies, but I'm sure if I sit with it for a bit it might, is one of these that, if it only has one high, has to have a 4 in it. I don't know why that's like a weird thing, but then you would force 4 in the opposite direction, and then you would be able to know that it's a full
Mm.
set of like your highs in the opposite direction. Essentially, I don't know if that's kind of making sense, but like if I can say this cage, if it has to have a high, has to have a 4, or maybe it something like that, I don't know, then then it would it would place the 4, and then we would know that the rest of the highs are here. Something like that. I don't know.
So there are a couple of things just to think about in this kind of pattern beyond the 7, 8, 9s, and the other thing is where do these go in this row?
These digits you're saying.
Yeah. So we could do something that has flexibility, that, and also four is around here as well. That's the other thing to keep in mind. Um,
Well, that's what I was trying to say is like if I could find a way to restrict this cage to be like this cage has to have a four in it, then
yeah.
I would know where four went, right? But I can't see. I want it to work, and I want there to be a number that makes sense for, but then you'd have to consider too many possibilities.
No, I think the easy way to think of it is if you have the knowledge of the three highs, you would say, okay,
Hmm.
if there was, what is the maximum this could be, considering it can only have one high in it? And
I
the
guess okay,
highs
so then
are
we would work
the highs are
backwards. So
six,
from
seven, eight,
nine,
nine,
yeah,
right?
so nine, let's say 954, it would be 18. So,
Right.
you know,
But that would probably break because you have to remember if this was 459, I think it would probably break. Then where do one and two and three go in this row? Because they can't
oh
go
yeah, of
here.
course. So that's the other thing is we know that it can't
Yeah.
pay that. So this also has to have a digit of so then so wait, does then this have to have two digits of one
No, it
two
has to
three
have
five
one
then?
digit. Yeah, two digits of one, two, three, five.
Two digits of one, two, three, five, because with just the five wasn't enough. So two digits of one, two, three, five. So the maximum there is 3, 5, which would be with the nine is 17. So a 17 cage in three, but the problem is that's maximized, right? So we would
Right.
instantly know
Hmm.
is that I guess maybe that's a good way to do it. We do want to maximize it. Something that wouldn't jump out to you as a maximum normally, but with this consideration would be a maximum.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So I'm just going to turn my light on here.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I don't know. I that's interesting. If we
I
did,
think with this pattern here and such, I think you have the beginnings of something interesting for sure.
mhm.
It's I'm
Well,
just
depending on when we
wondering.
call it quits, then maybe I'll play with this more myself, and then I'll send it over to you
Oh
later
no,
down the line.
I
But
want to get you past the opening here a little further on
yeah,
for sure.
I don't know. I'm like I'm trying to see. Whoops. I'm trying to see like I feel like this 18 has to be 935 then because of how these digits need to be placed, but maybe I'm not or not 18, sorry, 17 is what I said.
Mm,
Sorry, 18 was what I was looking at before. 17, right? Because it's 3, 5, and 9.
hmm.
Um, is that is that like pushing it too much? No, because I know that only one high exists here,
Hmm.
right? Maximum can go in this cage. And if we don't use a high digit in this cage, then there's no way we can get to 17 with three digits, right?
Yeah.
5, 3, 4, 12. So we know there has to be a high in this cage. And
Hmm.
this is kind of what I wanted to do, but forcing a 4. But the problem is again, because you need two of these digits here, because like you said, we know that at most one of them could be here. This could be the same, right? This blue could be the same as this blue. It's possible.
Hmm.
Um, like if this is 6, then just triple 1, sure, right? We move on with our lives. But um,
But there might be a
specifically
way.
because we know that 5 exists and we're here 3, 5. I don't know. Is that something fair to do, right? This 17
So there might be a way
because
to
it's a maximum.
there might be a way to kind of make it a little easier by instead of doing a three cell cage. So as I'm looking at this and I was listening to you go over, what would happen if
Mhm.
you made it a two cell 13 cage, for example?
With forcing, well, yeah, it would be either 6, 7, 5, 8, and it couldn't be 6, 7 because then you'd be using too many highs. So then it would have to be either 5, 8 or 4, 9. If it's 5, 8,
So it actually would
then
have to be
trying to
5/8. So
4, 9 wouldn't work because 4 and 9 would end up here, and
Well, let
I'm not
me
seeing it. So
so let me show you how I'm seeing it.
yeah, please.
So if you put a two cell 13 cage in here,
Yeah.
what are three digits that can't go in a 13 cage?
Well, the low digits. So I guess
Right.
that's what
So
you're
where are
saying
the
is
low
where do the
digits
low digits
here?
go?
So
Yeah,
then the
they
one,
have to
two,
be in
three
those
would
two
go
cells.
here,
Okay.
but then where does the five go?
The 5 has to go in the 13 cage. I see.
So then now what does that do is it means your four has to be here because that's the only place it
Hmm.
could be. So then that
For a
takes
4.
four away from here. And if you did something similar down here, that might then force, instead of thinking, is there a way that we can force a cage total to put a four in? This would now potentially force a four down here that you could then try and
All
put
right.
in a cage.
So what I was unsuccessfully trying to do earlier, essentially. Okay. So taking this then, right? Like you said, is like we have to consider where do the low digits go. So this would have to be a 1, 2, 3 triple, right?
Hmm.
Knowing this is then 5, 8, knowing
Yep.
this then has to have the 4 along it, and then 8 obviously is going to be removed from here. And then can we do more than that with the 4? Like, do
Well,
we
the
know
eight would
it's,
get pushed up into,
oh yeah, here.
yeah.
But do we know anything more with the 4? Like, we can't say it's going to be 4, 6 or 4, 7 or 4, 9, right?
Mm, actually, no, but we could say, so the blue that you have as purple, so is now, so the purple at the top is going to be 7, 8, 9, in fact, because purple and 8 are both forced up there.
Yeah, and they're different. So,
Yeah.
okay. So purple and 8. I don't know how to really pencil mark that, but well, just something like that, I guess maybe. But
Yeah. Or just do them
because
as
I
7,
also know
8,
that
9.
this is 4 and green, which is what I was doing before as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yep.
4 and green. I'm actually going to center mark it instead of corner marking it just because I know this is going to be 8 here, and that means that with the 6, 7, 9, 6, 6. Well, I know that.
It's a 6, 7, 8, 9 quad in the column. If you look.
Oh yeah, here, across here. So
Yep.
I was getting distracted with the 1 because I was thinking like if I know that one of these has to be a 1, then I know that one of these two is a 1, which
Mm-hmm.
is not super interesting. Maybe like, oh, it eliminates a 1 from this cell, but that doesn't really push me further. Um, so yeah, it's probably best to look here. We know that that these will be from the set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yep.
and then crafting a cage. Let me think about
Mm-hmm.
this before you go and spoil my fun.
No, no.
Um,
Carry on.
we're gonna maybe we like a 10 a 3 cell 10 cage forces the 5. Does it Can I make it more interesting than that? Um, 9 could be 2, 3, 4 or 1, 3, 5. So it always has a 3, and the 3 then points up at this, which says this has to be 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we know it can't be a 6 cage. That's easy. 7 cage is too restrictive. Um,
So if you, um,
I feel like 9 or 10. I kind of like a 9 or 10 cage, a 3 cell 10 cage, but maybe I do something different. Maybe a 2 cell cage, like to match like symmetrically.
hmm. Yeah, I mean, a two cell cage would be fine because I could also see, yeah, I
7.
know you still have the cage drawn in the bottom right. I can see geometric implications that could
Yeah.
come into play later, but that's more my kind of thing.
5, like if it had to have a 5 in it, it could play with 5 here somehow. I don't know.
I mean, you
Um,
could do something as straightforward as just a nine
7
cage,
or
which
9
would be
cage.
4-5. I mean, that would be, well, because it's going to have to be low, right?
Yeah.
A nine cage,
Hmm.
an eight cage, something
Yeah, I
like
was
that.
I was thinking 7 just because it still gives us two options, right? And it kind of forces one off out of the cage. But maybe I can't I can't be so loose with the options. I need to be more restrictive.
Yeah. Well, again,
Because
but
the
again,
one thing that it does is just because 6, like because we did the work and we know that 6 can't go in it,
yeah,
all the 7 cage does is remove a 1. But then that means I need to do something intelligent with 1 to actually make it worth the while. Otherwise,
right.
it's all for naught.
Hmm.
So you said 8 or 9 cage to force it.
Would be 3-5 or 4-5.
Yeah, 8 or
So,
9.
because it's also
Yeah.
important, even in more straightforward puzzles, you want to give reward
Mhm.
as as it's going. So,
Yeah. So yeah, so I see the value. I don't know if I want to place 8 or 9 necessarily quite yet, but what I
okay.
can do is, again, leave it blank, but I know it's either going to
Hmm.
be 3, 5, or 4, 5, so there's going to be a 5, and
Yep.
this cannot have a 5 on it
Hmm.
either. But again, I'm trying to see, like, we reward them by there's a cage, so they'll have a value. They know what the value is. I don't know what the value is quite yet,
Yeah.
but um, it'll either leave us with a 1, 2, 3 triple, or it'll leave us with a 1, 2 with a 1, 2, 4. So still a 1, 2, 4 triple, but we'll be more restricted on this value here.
Mm. So one thing you can actually do in addition is you can take a 3 out of
Could
row
this ever
4.
be? I was gonna say, could this ever be 3? It can't because
No,
you need that.
8,
And
9.
that is literally, I promise you, that is literally what I was thinking of
Yeah.
right in the moment as well. I was like, 3 just completely eliminates your options
Hmm.
because we push the 8 out.
There is also something else you can say. Actually, you can actually deduce row 4, column 3. If you pencil mark your purple squares as what they. Oh no, actually,
Six,
hang
seven,
on.
nine.
Never mind. Yeah, I'm getting mixed up. I is because I was going to say, yeah, it's 6, 7, 8, 9. I was getting mixed up because I had neglected to put a pencil mark back that I removed earlier. So ignore me on that one.
Okay.
I was going to say it has to be a 1, but no, never mind.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm still, I know the 1 goes between like these two cells. One of these two cells at least is definitely a 1, right? At least one of those two cells is a
Well,
1
yes, because there's
because
going to
we
be a
know
6.
the
Yeah.
6, right?
Yeah.
But and that's what I was saying before is like it would be kind of cute if I could be like, "Oh, how can I use this?" And like the only thing that sees is just this single cell to be a 1.
Yeah, so if it were, I mean, if it were me, it wouldn't be, I wouldn't be. So the way I was thinking of that is, I was thinking of more of, but it doesn't necessarily tell you which of these is a 1, is can we roll 6 out of here? And I was like saying, well, if I put a cage there that just couldn't have a 1 in it,
Yeah.
then that
Then it
couldn't
could
be
never be
6
triple 6. Yeah.
but then I actually kind of think it might be interesting for this to be a 6
Be
to force
6,
1
yeah.
here. So,
Yeah, because it gives you a ton of other options with your other
right.
digits, even if it forces the
So,
1. Yeah.
yeah.
So we've done Cage. Maybe this is the time where it's good to look back at a German Whisper again,
Yeah.
right? We have this kind of, I don't even know what I'd want to call it, like a wishbone almost sort of
Hmm.
sort of thing going on. Um,
But you do also have some cells that you know are definitely low.
oh, like color coding wise, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if we're being good and we're maintaining our color coding, obviously inserting a German Whisper into the cages is a little. I think it was okay here. I don't think I want to
Mm,
just do that here because then that just resolves a 5, and I don't think that's where I really want to
yeah,
go
I
with
wouldn't
that.
do that for sure.
Um, so maybe like you're saying, because this is low, something along here in a way could be interesting. Um, how do I want that to look? A 3 cell, double low, could interact along here. I don't know. I'm just like,
Mm.
do I like the way that that looks? You know, am I happy? And then what does that do, right? In the end, what does that really do? Is that doing something valuable? And I don't necessarily see what value that adds because what cages would I build from? So I wonder if maybe I should reach back into its own box almost,
Well,
right?
you
Because
mean in
if I
addition?
force a low here, right, what can I do with that, right? Because now I have 3 of 4 lows. So how does that restrict other values, maybe?
But I think at this point, the instinct to reach away from the clues that you have is probably a good
Is
one
better. Okay.
because you need to start breaking out.
So not necessarily exactly this, but the idea of kind of pushing towards the kind of
Hmm.
bottom corner essentially.
Yeah, I would say so. Especially if you do want to keep that cage that you have, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Could we do instead of something that cuts across, maybe something more stair steppy, right? So kind of tracking lows through that. Is
Hmm.
that interesting?
I mean, I see potential in it. I would, before you think about joining them, because that can always come later.
Think about how they interact by themselves.
Yeah, I would say that for the minute, especially if, we don't have to do a 30 cage or or
Hmm.
a 29 cage or what have you, especially if you
Whatever
wanted
it
to do
is.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
doing something high.
So I guess yeah. The consideration is the thing is I still have this as 3 4, and I wonder if it's just better to make this a 9 and have this be 1 2 3 1 2 3, not even let this be 4. Maybe that's what I do. Maybe I just decide right now I want this cage to be a 9, and if it somehow magically breaks later, then say I can say I shouldn't have pulled that off. But
Or, I mean, actually, I was going to say maybe I would wonder if maybe doing it the other way around because if you then
where the 4 is still allowed on the German Whisper,
right, but if you then extended your whisper slightly to the left, then it
then
would
it could
actually,
never be a 4.
yeah,
Okay. I see. I see.
and that
I see, said the blind man as he picked up his hammer and saw.
my that is something my father used to say all the time. I see, said the blind man to his deaf friend. And I used to be
Yeah.
like, what on earth does that mean? And now I find myself saying it. And I'm
Yeah.
just, the realization that we all turn into our fathers. Um, but now you can actually
I love
place.
you shouldn't get me too started. Philip and I at SudokuCon we were having a little bit of a dad joke off, but he's definitely a lot more practiced as an actual dad.
Yeah.
But I have my classic that I always like to say, which is why they're called dad jokes, right?
No, but you're going to tell me, I'm
It's
sure.
because the punchline's always apparent.
Oh, good grief.
When they become apparent
Um,
at the delivery.
uh,
All right, I'll see myself out. All right, thanks
yes,
everyone for
yes. Okay.
watching.
Get your coat. Get your coat.
Okay, so let's place this 4.
Yeah.
Let's place this 4. Um, 4 here. What does that do? We get a 1 2 pair. Is
Yeah.
the 1 2 pair interesting? Maybe. Sorry, not there. I did that the opposite way. 4. Um, 3, 4. Is the 1, 2 pair here interesting? Let's color code lows and highs.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, should have selected both of those at the same time. That's fine. Um, now the consideration is what? Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Where actually this one cannot be 8. This one cannot be 8. But it doesn't mean this one can't be 3. That'd be if we could force something similar to what we had here. That would be
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Where if we could say this couldn't be 3, then we could place 3 here. Again, kind of getting a similar symmetry. But the problem is this can be 3 because this can be 9 and this can be 8. So if we could
Yeah.
somehow remove 9 as an option here, no, but 9 is the least restricted of the high digits. So that would be
Mm-hmm.
kind of the opposite of what we could do with this.
Mm. So, but
Hmm.
what about your cage at the bottom?
If I make this that 29 or 30 or whatever it is, 28, what have you, then you'd need to be able to have 4 distinct digits. And that means that none of these could be duplicates of each other,
Mm-hmm.
like we were saying before, right?
Yeah.
So this would have to be a 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of quad in
Yep.
a way. Um, but I don't know what I would prefer to place here, but I think, yeah, again, coming back to that, something like, I don't know, even like 27, right? Because the lowest you can you go 4 on 27? I can't do math. Um, no,
Yes.
yes, you can. Sorry, because 4
Six, eight,
plus
nine.
24 gets you to 28.
Yep.
So it would have to be 29 or 30. That's fine. Either way, 29, 30. We know that these have to be distinct digits. So
So yeah, that would actually give you row seven, column seven, if you think about it. If you had 30, it would be
oh,
six,
if
seven,
this
eight,
was a
nine.
28, it would be because this couldn't be any of the low digits,
Yeah.
and then it couldn't be whatever's missing from here. So this would either be, what is it? It'd either be 5 or 6, pretty
Yeah.
much, right?
Yeah.
5, 6 pair. But we would
Yeah.
know. But the difference is we would know what it is in
Mm-hmm.
this case because we would have this. So is a 5 or a 6 more interesting? Probably a 6 is more interesting. Because, well, first of all, these couldn't have been 6s anyways. I should be a little bit more careful about my pencil marking. But maybe 6
But
is more interesting in the end. I don't know.
I mean, think about what you said though about trying to get rid of a nine from the top. I mean, I think this is going. I think we're kind of getting past the point where this is a one or two star level puzzle,
Yeah,
but that's
it's
fine.
some of these jumps are a little much, but um,
I mean, it's something I think you can always go back and play around with.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But if you, what did you say about the blue are a one, two, three, four quad, right?
yeah, yeah. I know it's a quad, and I was trying to think about like where does 4 go in it, and like the problem for me is if this is 4 then this is 9, but if this is 4 then this is 9, and then I don't
Yeah.
have, like, I'm trying to see how that restricts the 9 in the way that I
No.
wanted.
Yeah. That's fair.
I
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you see a way, like, because that was my thought process here, is like I'd love to do that, and I was looking at the 4s. I think I was highlighting them at some point, but
Yeah, I thought I saw
um
a way, but I think I may have actually been mistaken, so I retract that.
how dare you?
I know,
How dare you?
terrible.
Um I do think that's interesting though
Yeah.
here. And how does that relate maybe elsewhere? right? This
Hmm.
cell here, but the problem is this cell doesn't see any of these ones because I would know that this is the opposite pair. And if this, like, let's say saw this, then I would actually know that this cell would have to be that cell, which is maybe a little bit too much jumping around again. But um,
Would you want to actually just decide on a cage total? That I mean, that might be an interesting thing to like force
well,
this.
yeah, that's what I was thinking is like, do I want this? Do I want this to be a six? Is it better if it's a six because it actually removes candidates? Or if I have it be a five, then it's more ambiguous, right? But if this is a six, right, if this is forced to be a six,
Yeah.
then it removes some options from here, which kind of starts to reduce things into a more manageable zone, maybe. Because
Yeah.
another thing that would be interesting is instead of trying to do it the opposite way where we move a nine and we say this can't be three, if we could
Mm.
somehow remove an eight here as well, and we have a 7-9 pair, for example, or we know that would have to go between these two cells, then we would actually, uh, sorry, whatever. I'm trying to, sorry. Then it would also force,
So
or
I
wait,
think
what was I
I
trying to say?
think
Never mind. I lost it again.
your
Um,
train of thought went off the rails. I think
yeah, yeah,
making
yeah,
that 29 would be good.
yeah. I think, oh, that's, I just pressed 2 and 9, but I'm in
Uh,
color mode, not in killer cage mode.
yeah.
Um, 29, try that again. And then again, that would force this to be 6, right? This would be 5, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah. Where would 5 go in row 7?
There we go. Okay.
And where would 5
5
go
here
in
and 5
column?
here is the
Yeah.
same. And then
So maybe then that gives you something.
a cage here.
Hmm?
That could be interesting. Cage, obviously not an 11. um,
11
5,
would be
6, 1,
one,
2,
two,
3,
three,
4.
five.
Let's make sure that I'm following.
Yeah.
Excuse me, there a little bit. So this is
Hmm.
7, 8, 9. 6 will color code yellow.
Yeah.
5, I don't know. I'll just leave those blank, I guess.
Okay. So I think you have.
Hey, I know one can't go here.
Yeah.
uh, we know it has to have 5.
Hmm. So do you want to make it low or do you want to make it high? Do you want to make it
I
intermediate?
I feel like I have to make it restrictive enough
Yeah.
because if not, then there's just like I don't want to make it somewhere in the middle, right? Because the maximum obviously would be I could just make it another 29 cage, but then
Yeah.
we don't need the fives to tell us that, right?
Hmm.
But at the same time, if I make it like 11, then again, I don't need the fives to tell us that. But if it's
Yeah.
two in the middle, like it's you have to find some in between. So perfectly in the middle
So a
between
13, a
yeah.
13, if it had a 5, then you would need 1, 3, 4. A 14, if it had a 5, then it could be,
It'd actually be interesting if it didn't have four because of the four here.
yeah.
So maybe on the higher end, something like 21. Is that?
Oof, 20 watt hooker. My brain has just gone out the window now. So if it had a 5, 5, 7, 8, 9 would be 20, what we know is 29. 5, 6, 8, 9.
This is where I need this is where I need Sven's tool here.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if this is going to ruin everything, but I can maybe switch to playtest in Sudoku pad because you can just click playtest and then
Mm.
I can maybe consult his killer cage calculator here. Um, I don't know if that maybe that exists elsewhere, but I'm gonna do that and it's probably gonna break everything. I hope not at least. I'm gonna press OK.
We'll
It
see.
seems fine. Let's turn on. I don't remember where the killer cage calculator is. Oh, maybe right under advanced where it says killer calculator.
Mm.
Um, all right. If you know it has to have a 5, then we can eliminate
And
all these options.
I was going to
But
say, aren't
can we
you
do
doing
something better? So
exactly what you hated?
this is what I want to avoid, right? So
Yeah.
then the question is can we use one of these other digits to help us? And
Mm,
actually, if it has to be with 4, right? If maybe we could actually use the fours in some way to force it. But the
mm.
problem is on the other side, it could, even though it's 4 in one place, on the other side it could be 3. I don't know which screen we're seeing here, but
Okay.
um,
I can give you a
yeah,
little help,
there's 4
actually.
different options for the killer cage still, and that's when you're thinking of all of the things. So,
Mm. I can give you, you can get another digit, by the way.
oh, okay, wait 1 second. Let's see. Another digit, 789 12 12.
You can
Is it
remove a
because of the
pen.
fives or is it something else?
No, if you look in box three, you can remove a pencil mark from one of your yellow squares.
Oh, 8. Oh my gosh. So then 8 here,
Yeah, I don't know if it does anything.
it says this can't be a 4,
Oh, that's true.
which places a 4, which places a 9. Okay. And then 4 here places 4 here. This could then be a 3, which I guess we already knew because we knew how this pair played out.
Hmm.
With 1 or 2, this could still be 7 or 8, but
Yeah.
well, this is interesting. If this is 2, no, but then this could still be 1. If okay, so if this was 1 or 2,
Hmm.
then obviously that would force this to be a 3 and this would be 9. So is there something interesting that comes from that? I'm just gonna delete this cage for now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
maybe I can come back to it. But I don't it's there's just too many options.
Hmm.
Um,
Just for timekeeping sake, I would say let's give it
yeah,
another
please.
2 or 3 minutes, and then we can start wrapping stuff up. But
Yeah, no
I
problem, no
just
problem.
want to see
This
you
is
think
like
through.
you've already helped me a tremendous amount. I don't even
Hmm.
know if I've really set this puzzle myself or if it's really you, but we're it's like I there the ideas that we're working through together and how we kind of push past it. I think
Hmm.
that's like that those sort of ideas have been very, very helpful. Um,
I
so
was
yeah,
going
I
to
think
say,
maybe this is even like a good place to like leave it almost.
well, I was going to
Maybe I'll throw in a
make,
Fistmfell ring just for fun, but
I
it's a joke.
was going
But
to make one more suggestion
okay,
that
yeah,
might
please.
actually help. Is if you now think about
These two here.
joining now, it's possible that, I mean, it would force something sooner
Hmm.
because you know that one of them would have to be a four,
And 9.
and that
Oh,
would
sorry, what?
make that, well, let me back up a bit. So it would
Yeah.
force that digit to be a nine sooner because you would know that one of the two is going to be a four.
Which would
But it
eliminate some options from a possible cage that may or may not exist later.
exactly, yes.
All
Especially
right.
if you
But
wanted to do something on the higher side as well. Now that you have a five pushing in, if you
yeah,
wanted to have something on the higher side, that might be,
without a 9, it's a lot more restricted because the best you could do is 26, right? So,
yeah, eight, seven,
um,
six, five, yeah. So,
and
but
maybe 26 would even be interesting there. But I don't know, just because now we've been able to get these other digits. I don't know. I'll play with it. But yeah, I
yeah,
think that this is. I'm going to tentatively throw a 26 here. But I think yeah, I feel like this is a good place to leave off because there's a lot more that can be done with this, but it feels more like a puzzle than it has the entire time. So
yeah.
uh, it's a good
Okay,
thing we're moving
so
in the right direction with it.
all right, yeah, no, I agree, and I think, yeah, I think our intent was maybe to set a little easier puzzle, and we kind of went quite off track with that quite quickly. But I think it's all a good exercise. Um,
Yeah, I'll play around with it, and I'll hopefully finish this off, and then if not, and I'm struggling through it, then maybe I'll try to add a couple more things in to make it like to make the solve path clearer, right? So it's
Hmm.
more of a 1-2 star. But yeah.
Yeah, and I certainly would say don't be afraid of. I know I resisted for the longest time when I was doing puzzles, but don't be afraid of doing a given digit.
Given digit, but
Yeah.
those are invisible. Those don't exist.
um, but anyhow, I've thanks for appearing with me today, Lucian. I very much appreciate it. I hope you had a good time. I certainly did. It's
Yeah, no,
been a lot of
I had
fun.
a ton of fun. I appreciate your time. I think we're both probably, you probably can't tell from me, but I'm definitely getting tired. I
Yeah,
don't know how the streamers do it. It always blows my mind. Um, I don't know how you lasted through your 24-hour live stream, even if you weren't on camera the whole time. It's a
barely,
lot of work, you know, a lot of
barely.
work. So I appreciate you putting this on. You know, Tallcat has been doing all the tech while also, managing, actually trying to work me through this. So it's
Yep,
been great. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining. Hopefully we didn't get too off track, but
no.
yeah.
Oh, just quickly, Dream Librarian asks, when I'm setting, do I stop along the way and do a playtest solve? Um, yes, that is something I often do. As I've gotten to a certain point, I'll be like, you know what, I really don't know. And I would recommend that for you as well, Lucian, is like
Hmm.
maybe when you look at this puzzle next, I would maybe start from the blank grid and go through and solve it and see how it's feeling for you, and if the clues that you have are good, if you like them, other stuff may come
Yeah.
up. You never know. But yeah, I certainly like to do that, especially if I get to a point where I'm stuck. But anyhow,
Okay.
minor
Well,
detail there.
then maybe a good idea. I'll open up a play test like tab or something, and then I'll just leave this for like a day or so. Come back and see what my brain is
Yeah,
able to do. You know.
exactly. But in the meantime, thanks everyone who was watching and stuck with us. I know it went on for nearly 3 hours, which is a little longer than usual, but we were enjoying ourselves. As I said at the start, um, oh, I think our ad's done. Oh, ads are in progress. Are you kidding me? Right as we're
We're
about to
trying to
wrap
say
up.
goodbye, and all the ads are playing.
Yes, ads are in progress. Okay. All right. Well, I will give it 2 minutes until the ads stop if you can hang on just so people come back, because I would hate
Not
to
paid
do
by
that.
the hour, right?
I know, exactly. But I guess, are there any parts of setting that you felt we may not have touched on as much that you wanted guidance on, or do you feel,
No, it, bring my thoughts together.
yeah.
This was something where my setting was forced to be more intentional. Like I said, I didn't just throw in a global constraint like, you know, like I said, like even something as simple as like anti-night, for example, or otherwise, or some of the weirder ones
Hmm.
like binaro or whatever else I've thrown into some of my puzzles, and then trying to somehow build something along that line. Because there isn't this like overall restriction, I'm able to step back more and say, what can I do with the clues as they exist, instead of trying to tie them into some bigger thing. And also some of your thought process in, how you were placing clues
Hmm.
was very interesting because of, like, again, the one thing that I was just like, this is crazy. I love that he just sees this, is just the very simple, you know, 1 2 3 thing you had going on with your German whisper,
Hmm.
where, you know, and maybe now that we've made the puzzle a little bit more challenging, maybe it is time to just, dump that line and, move away from that, because that's a better thought process, and kind of keeping those things separate, right? Instead of
Hmm.
trying to just throw things into a blender and hope that it works out, even if,
Yeah.
sometimes it might work for James.
Yeah, no, this is true. But again, he is, I, he's not wrong in the kind of throwing things together approach. And at the start, at least.
But
I
he has
think once.
experience. So just
No,
throwing
that's
things
true.
together can make
At the
sense
start,
if you have the experience to back it, right?
yeah. But certainly only, I think he was maybe suggesting more intentionally for a break-in or an opening, like just drawing stuff in the grid and seeing what happens. And I do that
Kind of
plenty.
like the little 6 by 6.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think, I mean, you kind of got into that a bit here with, well, let's do this and let's do that, and
Mhm.
so okay, it looks like the ads are done and people
The
are
ads are
back.
done.
So
Okay, we could do
yes,
our goodbye again then.
yes. So thanks everyone for watching. I know we just had some ads right there. Bad luck there, but thanks again for being here. As I said at the start, keep an eye out for emails and information about tickets for SudokuCon, and we will be back, I think, in 2 or 3 weeks with a stream, another episode of Anatomy of a Puzzle. So thanks again, Lucian. Thanks again, everyone, and we will see you soon.